If it's Thursday, that means it's the Thursday Night Thunder Series. Welcome, everybody. It's Ellis Thomas here alongside Chris Smith in the Slingshot Racing Media booth. Tonight, we're bringing you the first of 15 races in the Gen 4 Arca cars, starting tonight at Daytona. In the heart of Florida, where sun and speed collide, Daytona International Speedway was born. In 1959, this masterpiece emerged from the sands of the beach, an ambitious project to create a haven for racing's titans. The track is so big, engineers had to take into account the curvature of the earth when building it. The banking was made from dirt dug out from the area where Lake Lloyd now sits in the infield. That steep 31-degree banking means these drivers aren't going to be spending a lot of time off throttle, which is going to lead to a lot of high speeds and very little room for error. One mistake can lead to the big one, which has claimed hundreds of cars over the course of Daytona's tenure on the NASCAR schedule. The inaugural 500 in 1959, won by Lee Petty, marked the beginning of a tradition that would shape NASCAR's legacy. But it was the epic battles of Petty and Pearson, the Silver Fox, that wrote some of racing's most iconic chapters. The 79 Daytona 500, a battle between Petty and Cale Yarborough, drew a national TV audience, making history and launching NASCAR into the mainstream. And speaking of history, did you know that the very first race held at Daytona was a 100-mile sports car race in April of 1959? A 13-year-old Mario Andretti won that race. Chris, it's the first race of the season, but there is a lot on the line in the next 12 races, starting with tonight. The top 10 drivers after 12 races in the Thursday Night Thunder Series will make it into the TNT playoffs, and the points are reset from there. How important is tonight in a driver's campaign towards that playoff berth?
Well, a lot of times drivers look at Daytona as a season upon itself. The opening of the NASCAR Cup Series season sees the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl of auto racing, of NASCAR stock car auto racing. And so a lot of drivers look at that as a season upon itself. But I think these drivers tonight, knowing what's on the line this season, I think that they're going to want to get off to the best start they can possibly get off to tonight. So we might see some different strategies tonight. We might see some guys riding around in the back. We might see some guys that charge towards the front. It's going to be interesting to keep up with it tonight. We've got 125 laps around this 2.5-mile super speedway. 16-car field tonight. About 43 laps on a tank of fuel. That's given, some of the draft that, is at play right here. So give or take a few laps on that one. It should be an exciting night of racing here tonight at Daytona.
It is going to be thrilling indeed, and I know race fans who are joining us back for the first time in over a month are going to be excited for that Slingshot Racing fan favorite pre-race tradition, the playing of the national anthem. So everybody, for the first time in over a month, rise and remove those caps if able. We'll be right back on the other end of the break. We are back here in the Slingshot Racing Media virtual studio. A little something new here if you've joined us for a few races before, but we're going to hit up the pre-race stories from here to catch you up on what to expect tonight in this race, Chris, with the stories to follow for this Thursday Night Thunder season opener at Daytona. First of all, teamwork. When you're at a restrictor plate track, Chris, everyone talks about teamwork. You're going to see drivers working together throughout the night. Why is that such a vital and critical component of this race?
Well, you need help. You need friends to be able to make moves out here on the track. You can be the fastest driver on any track, but when you come to Daytona and Talladega, if you don't have anybody go with you when you make a move, you're not going to get anywhere very quickly. So a little bit unsure about some of the teammates that we have here tonight. I think we're going to figure that out as we go tonight, but I'm going to be really interested to see. Sometimes, it's not necessarily your teammates, but the people that you find out there on the track. What did Darrell Waltrip, what's the word that he coined? Co-opetition. Sometimes you gotta make friends. You gotta cooperate with your competition, and we might see some of that tonight.
There is going to be a point where teammates kind of go out the window. And Chris, we hope that comes late in the race, because if not, it could get a little bit dicey out there. Anytime you're at a restrictor plate track, you got to avoid the big one. It's going to be a word we're using all night. It raises the hairs on the back of drivers' necks. Why are these restrictor plate tracks so kind of a hotbed for these types of multi-car 10, 11, 12 car crashes?
Well, it's just the nature of, the type of racing that restrictor plate racing, produces. You have to run close together. You have to run tight together. These are 240, 250 mile an hour vehicles on this track. If they weren't restricted, that are being restricted. It's almost like if you ever go to like a little go-kart track in, down in Florida or something like that, with a governor on it. That's kind of like what this is right here. So, it just breeds everybody sort of running really, really close together. And with people running close together, if one person makes a mistake, then a bunch of people are caught up in it. So hopefully we don't see that tonight. It's just the nature of this type of racing, so we might, but hopefully that's not until much, much later in the race.
Yeah, we'll be keeping our eye on that for sure. These cars drive a little bit differently, Chris. They're going to get big runs on each other. You got to kind of really pick and choose your battles, so to speak, with the runs you get. A lot of drivers are going to be tempted to feel that speed and want to break out of line to try to pass a car in front of them. How wise is that?
Well, you have to be very calculated. You can't just take every single run that you get. Sometimes you've got to just, learn how to just tap that brake just a little bit, right in line. If you try to pull out a line to make a pass and you don't have anybody that's willing to go with you, obviously you're going to go to the back. So this is like a game of chess out here, and you've got to keep that in mind as you're generating those runs, and maybe not take every single run that you have.
Maybe not take every single run you have. A word of wisdom there for a veteran iRacing driver here in Chris. And lastly, it kind of goes along hand in hand with that. Risk versus reward. We're going to see different strategies from drivers tonight. Some will be looking to race very early up at the front in lead laps. Others will be more likely to drop to the back and kind of wait for that big one to potentially break loose and hope to be able to avoid it. Chris, if it's you out there driving, what strategy do you tend to kind of revert to most?
I think it just depends. If I can stay up in those first maybe two rows, I feel pretty good about where I am. But if I fall any further back than that, and I'm in the middle of the scrum, as I like to call it, then I probably am going to fall to the back. So I'll be curious to see what these drivers do tonight. I'm really going to be paying close attention to the bump drafting, or the lack thereof, hopefully, because these cars, and we're going to talk a lot about tonight, they don't line up well front bumper to rear bumper, and bump drafting is virtually impossible. So I'm going to be curious to see if any drivers try it tonight. The little bit of experience I have with these things out on the track lately, it's probably a risk that you don't want to take.
I think you are absolutely right when talking about risk versus reward. Well, man, we've got just about 30 seconds left here in qualifying before we find out who is going to be on the pole. We've got some cool stuff coming up for the fans in the chat. We're going to give a free 1/64th scale diecast away and ship it to one of the fans watching in the chat for free. So if you haven't said hey yet in the chat, two or three people already have. It looks like Aaron Smith's in here. He's going to be racing. We're going to hear about him shortly. Randy B in the chat saying it's the return of Chris and Ellis, Kyle Busch Thomas. I'm not sure why I'm being compared to Kyle Busch, but okay, that could either be a good or a bad thing. And, of course, Connor is here as well. We're glad Connor is back. We're glad to talk to you, Connor. Keep it up in the chat. Joshua Kerner says hello. We appreciate everyone joining in so far. Let us know who you think is going to win this race. Let us know who you're here to support. But right now, we got to find out who those drivers are with the Thursday Night Thunder starting grid. They're going to head to pit road right now, and it's none other than Aaron Smith II on the pole. We're going to talk about him for another reason here shortly, but he's always fast, Chris. He is a driver to be on the lookout for tonight. Looks like Shea Wills in the 07 is going to be starting second, followed by Levi Cox in that number 1, starting on the inside of row number 2. Chase Leahy starting fourth. Justin Clapper, I've heard he's a fast one to watch as well in the 63, starting in the 5th position. And then 6th, it's Bobby Grant in that number 98. It's going to be Anthony Burleson in the number 79, starting on the inside of row 4. Glenn Grimm in the 08, starting in 8th position. Brandon Roberts in that 00, going to be starting 9th tonight. Shane Coker starting 10th in the 32 car. Chris Blassie, another Slingshot Racing Media familiar face, starting 11th in that number 15 car. Gregory Shepsis starting 12th in the 27. He's going to have 6 rows to go through if he's going to get to the front. David Reichman right behind him on that inside line, starting 13th in the 6th. Joshua Kerner just tuned in the chat. He's starting 14th in that number 69, followed by Michael Benton in the 29. Robert Walton in the 66, going to be starting from the 8th row tonight on the outside. Then Mike Weber starting in that number 13 from 17th position, Chris. 17 drivers in the field tonight. They're going to get those seat belts tightened. They're going to make one more lap around the track here under pacing speeds. Hopefully it's going to be one of few times we see this field make its way around the track lower than 200 miles an hour. It is going to be a dogfight, a slugfest, Chris. You mentioned it earlier, 100 laps. It's the season opener. These drivers are going to be hungry to get a win and establish themselves as a playoff contender very early, and I think you're looking at one of them right now, Aaron Smith. Chris, we've got a cool feature for fans tonight. The heart rate monitor is on the number 70 driver. We're going to be able to tune in throughout the race and figure out what Aaron Smith's heart rate is looking like. He's at a baseline, what we think is around an 85 to 90. So we're going to keep an eye on that pulse check up in the top right from time to time this evening to see just what these drivers are going through. More about that later. Now, one thing we do want to do as we approach the backstretch here for the final time before we go green, Chase Leahy is the founder of Thursday Night Thunder Series, and just this past September, he lost his father, Jim Leahy, who was a beloved father, but also a famous monster truck driver. He drove the truck, The Broker. He lived a passionate life, and we're going to just take a moment of silence in the lead up to the green to honor Jim, father of Chase Leahy, who's racing in the field tonight. All right, pace car is going to peel off for the last time. We are under green flag conditions here in Daytona. Aaron Smith gets a nice little jump on the field. He's got the one of Levi Cox pulled up to the back bumper. Number 1 wants to go to number 1 very quickly. How patient will he be as they head down into turn number 1 for the first time? It's the 63 of Clapper on the inside. Meanwhile, the 07 of Shea Wills looks like he's fallen back a little bit, that outside line. Not really organized in the early going. They head down the super stretch for the first time tonight.
Yeah, getting single file on the bottom. It looks like a couple cars on the outside. Looks like they may be trying to get organized up, but don't know if they're too organized as Aaron Smith leaves that inside lane into turn 3.
Yeah, but that 07, Shea Wills climbs the banking down into turn 3. That bright orange car to the outside, he's got to run. He's got some horsepower under that hood. A car a little bit further behind him, I believe that is going to be the 34 of Leahy climbing to the top as well. Now, Chris, we're starting to see some organization, and that is going to be important moving forward. They head down into turn number 1 for the second time tonight.
Yeah, Shea Wills right here. He climbs the banking right there, trying to put a little bit of separation between himself and Aaron Smith. He's going to come back down a little bit closer to Aaron. What I'm seeing right here is everybody giving a nice little wide berth to everybody. That's what you like to see early in these restrictor plate races. Nobody really getting on each other's door. Everybody giving each other a lot of room.
Respect is the word of the lap, at least. Here on lap number 2, Wills climbs a little bit too high in turn number 3. Up the track, Leahy and the car behind, the 00 of Brandon Roberts, are going to have to be out of the throttle, and you can see the impact it had on that outside line. It's going to lose at least 2 car lengths up to the front.
Yeah, I think that he was a little bit higher there than what he wanted to be, but riding on board right here with, I think we got a car that's blinking out maybe. I think that's the one of Levi Cox underneath these guys. Second car on the bottom right there. It looks like he's back now, but yeah, we'll see if these guys can keep it straight here.
That can be just a little bit disturbing. It looks like Levi Cox in the 1 is going to jump to the inside, down on the apron below the yellow line. Going to play it safe. He's going to let the other cars, most of the pack, clear him. It does look like he might be having a slight internet connection issue with a little bit of in and out latency. But the 07, meanwhile, capitalizes, jumps to the top. It's the 07 and the 34. Wills and Leahy to the outside, who have formed a formidable duo as they cross the line here to complete lap 3. The top 5, Wills, Leahy, Smith, Roberts, and Clapper. And Chris, that outside line right now getting organized, and I'm surprised to see the momentum because we have seen a lot of respect. We haven't seen a whole lot of bumping out there right now. I know it's lap 3, but I'm impressed with these drivers.
Yeah, they're doing a great job keeping it straight right here, giving each other a lot of room. Yeah, outside lane, early on I was a little bit worried about it. It didn't seem like it was able to get organized very quickly, but, they've gotten together closer and closer together here and actually running a little bit tighter than that bottom lane is at this point.
Yeah, definitely running a little bit tighter. That might be the edge that outside line has right now. 2 by 2 by 2, Chris. About 6 to 7 rows deep in this field. Pretty much the entire field. He's raced the first 4 laps of the race side by side. It's going to be Leahy who ducks into the inside to see if he can make a move to the inside of Shea Wills. He thinks better of it. Might have been just trying to let that engine breathe a little bit. But Aaron Smith continues to be your leader. He has led really the first 2 to 3 laps of this race on the inside. But as soon as I say that, Wills, for the first time, we see a driver trying to use the side draft. Chris, talk to us about what that side draft is and why drivers might want to get real close to the right side of their competitors out there.
Well, the idea is that you want to get as close as you can to the side of the vehicle to try to pack some air on that rear spoiler. That air being packed on the rear spoiler, it's not that it makes your car faster doing that, it's that it slows the other car down. You think about front to back side drafting being to speed your car up, but in that case right there, you're trying to use a weapon really against the driver that you're trying to side draft. So I will admit, I'm not sure about how pronounced it is on these cars, versus maybe some of the other vehicles on the service. But we got a car going up the middle right here. That's Brandon Roberts.
Brandon Roberts, a 3-wide pass. He's going to go to the lead. He's going to pass a handful of cars in about half a corner there. That was an aggressive move, but it's going to pay off. He takes that position to the bank. New leader in town, Brandon Roberts, for the first time in that bright purple and black 00. But Aaron Smith answers back. He says, hey, you think you're going to lead that lap? I don't think so, buddy. Driver the number 70 back to the point. And hey, what do we call it? Is that like an anagram, Chris, when it's a 70 and 07? What is that? Neither one of us are English teachers, but
I think that you're right, though. I could be wrong. It wouldn't surprise me if I was wrong on that one. But
yeah, if you know what that's called, when it's like the reverse of something, and it works out either way, it's the same word, let us know what that is. That's what we have at the front for just a moment, Chris. I don't think these drivers can breathe. And look at Aaron Smith's heart rate, 106. It climbs upwards of 105 beats per minute at a resting average of 85. That tells you right now how exciting it is inside those cars and how much these drivers' hearts are literally pounding right now. The 34 gives a pound to the back of the 07. That's Leahy to Wills. That's going to give Wills the edge to the front, down the front straightaway, headed down into turn 1. Shea Wills is going to lead that lap in that orange 07.
And you're riding on board with Leahy right here. This is the Gyro KM. For some people, this might be a little bit nauseating, so we won't stay on it too long. But yeah, you see just the tremendous banking in the corners of turns 1 and 2 here at Daytona International Speedway. Leahy's going to pull right up to the rear bumper, not trying to get so close that he makes contact to him, but just trying to get close enough to where he will increase the speed of that 07 car. And he pulled up even with Aaron Smith right there on down the backstretch, but Smith is going to get the advantage right here through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Smith clearly out in front, but the 07 fights back. That's kind of been the story of the first 8 laps. If you're just joining us here for the first race of the season for Thursday Night Thunder on Slingshot Racing Media, it's been a dogfight and a back and forth tug of war, so to speak, between the 70 and 07. Really, the bottom line and the outside line are kind of pitted against each other, and it's a game of momentum. And you can see that outside line really carries the momentum off the corners, just a little bit higher, able to carry more speed no matter how much help the 70 has from the 00. That outside line just continues to be a thorn in the side of the number 70 and the 00 right now.
Yeah, the 00 right here, Brandon Roberts, I'm watching him right here. He's getting really close to Aaron Smith right here, but being really smart about it, not doing anything that's going to upset the 70. And, I think that he's got the pretty good push right here on the bottom, and I think that's a pretty potent combination right there, the 70 and the 00. They look like they got a decent amount of steam.
Yeah, Chris, we're going to take a break here for a second. Your mom chimed in. I think she might have been embarrassed that you didn't know what that... we got a car sideways. The 00. It might be a hardware failure for Brandon Roberts. I think we might have a wheel issue. We're still under green flag conditions, but there is smoke pouring from under the hood of the 00. That car darted to the left in an instant. We are still under green flag conditions on lap 10, but yeah, that is going to... I don't think it's going to result in the caution. He is still out on the track. I think they've got to be telling him to probably tow, or he is going to risk bringing out a caution. It does look like the 00 is going to be done for the night. He hit that escape button, and he is gone as we ride on board with a wild ride. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
What that looks like to me is possibly, and I'm just speculating right here, so I could be totally wrong, but that looks like a screen issue possibly, because the wheel, I wanted to see the wheel itself, see if the wheel maybe went, hard left or straight or something like that. That sometimes they will when they, disconnect or something like that, but his wheel looked like it remained connected. I'm willing to bet that he had maybe a monitor issue, and he was just trying to turn hard left to not crash anybody else out.
Yeah, so that is resolved itself. Unfortunately, Brandon Roberts out of the race, Mike Weber out of the race as well. I was saying before we were interrupted by that your mama chimed in, Chris, and she said it's a palindrome.
That's right.
Palindrome. We were both wrong, but that does make sense, absolutely. Right now, that inside line making a whole lot of sense. Aaron Smith drawing a beat on the 07. He's got the 63 and the 79 right behind him. That inside line continues to really bring the heat down to the inside as they work the backstretch now for the 12th time out of 100 laps tonight, or 125 laps, I should say. We are green, but Aaron Smith, that yellow car, he is leading the way, seeing his heart rate, Chris, through the roof right now. We also had some clarification. Randy's still taunting me about my black flag last night in the Spark Racing League series for going a little bit too fast and passing some cars coming to the green flag. Hey, I don't get to pass cars that often, so I've got to take any chance I can get. Connor, by the way, said he thinks we're going to get a caution at lap 10. He was almost correct, because we did have a crash on lap 10. He says if that was called a yellow, he would have been right, but it was not a yellow, Connor. He's got a knack for predicting stuff, man.
He's really good
Lone
at
Star
it.
Fugitive Hunters. That, I believe, we have confirmation, everybody. Brandon Roberts, my VR shut off. Sorry, Brandon. It is a nightmare I have lived multiple times, which is why I now race on triple screens, even though I do believe VR is the best visual experience for racing. Car sideways on the front straightaway. Further back in the pack, I believe that was Michael Benton in the number 29, Chris. Ran into some trouble through the tri-oval, it looked like. Might have gotten the apron. He gathers it back up like a true professional, but that thing was wiggling like a bass out of water down through the tri-oval.
It was. He did a nice job collecting it, and he's back here at the back of the field right here. Clearly still in touch with the leaders and in contention, just sort of out of harm's way in case there is a problem.
And we have avoided problems. I thought we were about to get 3 wide pass. I thought Chase Leahy was going to take that thing high. And Chris, I think we can confirm Chase and Gregory Shepsis are teammates because their cars look nearly identical, except for just a little bit of color variation. And that's a push that I bet's coming from a teammate, but the 27. Yep, you can see he backed out the throttle. I thought he was going to try to take it 3 wide and thread the needle between the 34 and the 63.
There he is right here, man. Look at this field right here. There's still double file all the way from the front to the back. Looks like we got a little 3 wide action. Looks like they settled it back out. That I believe that's the number 1 of Levi Cox, who we saw fall to the back earlier. You know, he was up there at the front. He was having some connection issues. He wanted to get out of everybody's way. He knows this is a long race right here. I'll be watching that 1 car tonight. See if he moves up. I mean, we got a number of Dodges in the field tonight, don't we?
We do have a lot of Dodges in the field. Very popular template for these cars. They're all the same body style, but people like to put different stickers on them, different headlights, different grills to make them stand out from each other a little bit. And right now, the thing that's standing out most is how amazing this race has been. Right now, we haven't really seen any line be able to get out in front. And Chris, this can get a little monotonous behind the wheel. It's very exciting to watch, and you can see based on Aaron Smith's heart rate, it's exciting in those cars, but what are do you like running side by side? Does it make you? We got a 3 wide pass going on, by the way. That is Levi Cox. We mentioned that number 1 who had fallen back with some internet connection issues, but he makes a 3 wide pass, and he does it masterfully. Gets to the front of Chris Blassie's front nose and slides right in front of that white and black number 15. That's one of those just picking them off one at a time types of passes, which, you know, is not a bad strategy to have on these restrictor plate tracks.
No, you're not going to be able to get them all at once. And, you know, this isn't like, you know, old school restrictor plate racing in the sim here, like where nobody's going to be like a Dale Earnhardt and go from like 20th to 1st in 3 laps. I mean, you're just not going to do it. You got to pick them off one by one. And here he is going up the middle again, looking to get a couple more.
He's going to get 2 or 3 more at least. He's going to draw a bead and even. It's a 3 wide battle for the lead. Out of the super stretch, now into turn 3. The 1 climbs the track, and he does it again, Chris. He gets lucky. He's able to keep that momentum and maintain the advantage over the car. He slides right in front of the 07 with a nose full into the back bumper of the 1. The 07, Shea Wills, lots of patience and lots of grace. That 07 just showed that 1 of Levi Cox.
Yeah, we picked a heck of a time to have a little camera issue there, but that was a really impressive move up the middle right there. And yeah, Levi Cox flexing his muscle a little bit right here and showing that you know, he's got some speed tonight, and I'm not surprised at all. He was up there, like I said earlier, before those connections. Oh, as the 07 of Wills right into the back. Yeah, you know, that's one thing we'll have to keep an eye on tonight. You know, there was nothing wrong with that, nothing egregious there. But, you know, as the race goes on and things get more aggressive, how much harder do those pushes get? As I think the 34 of Chase, was in the wall right there.
Yeah, his teammate, the number 27, Gregory Shepsis, had to get jump to the inside there. And you can see the loss of momentum on that number 34. Loses a couple spots there to the outside. Right now, though, it's a battle up at the front. 4 or 5 cars jockeying for position. It's Smith, Cox, Clapper, Wills, Burleson in any order right now as they swap the running order back and forth. Chris, let's jump back in the field just a little bit. Talk about really action is going on all over the place right now. I'm watching a couple battles side by side. The 69 and the 98. Kerner and Grant are going at it right now for 10th position. There's great battles all over the track. Drivers not running in the top 5 still doing battle, getting in scrums with each other, and it just shows you it's hard to gain an edge on these restrictor plate tracks. Those are some really good-looking paint schemes. I thought it was great racing, but to be honest, I just want to also kind of take a look at the paint schemes and show everyone on TV. Those things are glistening in the sun. Mountain Dew kind of making me a little thirsty. I might need a little caffeine as well.
Yeah, so Mountain Dew, Ellis, looks like we got a little Call of Duty on there as well on that number 98 machine. What is your favorite flavor of Mountain Dew?
Easy. Pitch Black. And, you know, they're bringing it back in select restaurants. I believe it's in one restaurant. It's going to be fountain only, I think. but I think it's not like a completely nationwide thing. So what about you?
Well, back in the day when it used to be a lot more readily available, I liked the Livewire Mountain Dew. I thought that was always really good.
Yes.
But I think my go-to is usually the Code Red.
Code Red, I would agree, is a respectable beverage for sure. Hey, let us know if you're in the chat, whether you are Brandon, whether you're Brandon Roberts, Cindy Smith, Connor Lyons, Josh Kerner, Randy Bechtel, Nicholas Reynolds also has joined us. Let us know what your favorite Mountain Dew variety is in the chat. Remember, we're giving away a free 1/64th scale NASCAR diecast to a random participant in the chat. Let us know what your favorite Mountain Dew is, or let us know who you're rooting for tonight. Side by side, man, I don't know who I'm rooting for. I'm objective, by the way. I'm not rooting for anybody, but I don't know who's going to win this race. There's not really been, obviously it's a restrictor plate race, but I'm kind of seeing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars that I think are capable. Really, we got 15 cars on the track right now that are capable of winning this race, and those are all 15.
Oh, some contact! The 07 in the wall.
Yeah, 07. Oh, we're going to have an issue here. The 27 stays out of the right side of the 63, but that 27 and 07 continue to make contact with each other. The 07, Chris, we've noticed having some trouble on the outside line tonight. That 07 we speak of, Shea Wills, we've had a couple of close calls. That car's just felt loose on the outside, just watching him maneuver around the track, and we finally see it come to a head there.
Yeah, I think this is bump drafting gone wrong here, possibly. Everybody gets stacked up on the top right here. Yeah, the 27 into the back of the 07, turned him into the wall. Man, everybody did a nice job of not panicking. No big, overreaction right there. And everybody kept it. Oh, man, we almost had a crash there. But, man, like I said, everybody kept their heads about them, and we're still green.
Yeah, the one of Levi Cox dropping to the back here once again. Cox, I don't know if he's kind of, just testing the waters, getting a little bit of practice and making passes. That would be one thing drivers do. Over the course of 125 laps, they're going to do probably little tests to see how many cars can you pass in a single corner. Where do you need to be to take the lead on the final lap? Drivers are going to be experimenting. Right now, Gregory Shepsis, with the help of the 07 of Shea Wills, going to move towards the front. He's dragging that outside line with him, Chris, just when I thought we had a little bit of separation. Gregory Shepsis gets some speed going and is bringing that freight train with him on the outside down the super stretch. That 27 pulls a nose in front of the 70. They're going to head down into turn number 3. It's going to be on the inside, Aaron Smith, and up top it's going to be the 27 of Gregory Shepsis.
Yeah, and you see a little bit of damage to the right front right there of the 07 of Shea Wills. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Doesn't look like it's affecting the performance of that Chevrolet, so looks like you got away with one right there. Man, a really good push from the 63 right there of Justin Clapper. That's how you want to do it right there. Just lay that front bumper up against the rear bumper of that car in front of you and just pushed Aaron Smith right out in front. Oh, it's a little bit of connection blink right there from the 07.
Hey, we're hearing from a couple of drivers in the chat right now. Mike Weber saying he came to watch his PC glitched out just before qualifying.
Oh, man.
We'll be back in the seat next week and take some time to get that thing fixed. Mike, appreciate you joining us, but I know you wish you could be on the track. Thanks for tuning in, man. And one thing, a little bit, I thought the 07 and the 70, that palindrome, we're about to get together again, Chris, headed out of turn number 3. Scary moment there between Wills and Aaron Smith. On the inside, Smith is going to have to deal now with the 27. Gregory Shepsis jumps to the lead, clearly out in front, decidedly out in front for the first time tonight. Got a little bit of separation, but Aaron Smith keeping a bead on that back bumper of that black and white number 27 with those yellow accents. Chris, I do have some bad news, or at least ominous news. Maybe I was looking at some of our notes on drivers. Mike Benton, who's in the field right now. I thought he was at least. Yeah, he's running 15th. Oh, 3 wide. We'll take a break from that for just a second to see this 3 wide battle. It's going to be the 63 on the inside of Justin Clapper up in the top 3 for the first time. The 27 of Shepsis and the 07 of Wills. We got a car blinking out too, Chris. Chase Leahy, one of the early front runners, got a little bit of an internet connection going on as well. Well, what I was saying is Mike Benton's also running VR. So is this like a situation where one team member's engine blow. Oh, 707 contact for the second time tonight, but we stay under green. Both drivers collect themselves, and it's going to send that outside line back. Looks like Shepsis isn't going to have a lot of help. The 07 and him really tagging each other. I don't know. I'm curious if there's a relationship there or not, or if it's just maybe a little bit of over-aggressive bump drafting early on in this race. But either way, I think it's convinced the top 4 or 5 it might be time to just settle it down just a little bit, because they are going to get some separation, and they go single file, and it looked like drivers were ready and willing and eager to make it single file. Now we see the first 8 now drop single file. Curious how long they might be willing to ride it out.
Yeah, and it looks like to me right there that the 07 just kind of, maybe wandered down just a little bit down into the right rear of that 27 car, but they got away with it again as looks like we got one car at the back of the field going way below the yellow line, but he keeps it straight right there. I think, Ellis, you were going to ask me if I liked being in all that traffic earlier and all the, the mess that we had. I don't think I ever had a chance to answer. I'm going to go ahead and answer it now and say, no, I do not like being in the traffic. I do not like, if I, as a race car driver, now as a broadcaster, I love restrictor plate racing. It's so entertaining to watch, but I'm not the biggest fan of being in the pack.
So, speaking of being in the pack, the 07 into the wall once again. Will's going to try to bring it back down. He's going to get it straightened out. It looks like Levi Cox and him might have had some contact. Wills drops from the field. The 07, that bright orange machine, going to go far back. Only car is going to be in front of him is the Scooby-Doo machine, it looks like, or behind him, I should say. But quickly, the 08 of Glenn Grimm jumps to the inside. Wills is going to be back to the back. Chris, that was a long time coming. I've really seen that 07 car struggling throughout the first 25 laps, now 30 laps of the race on that outside, and it kind of came to a head there.
Yeah, it looks like it did, and, but I don't think that he's just hanging on to the draft right here. I think he and the 08, Glenn Grimm right in front of him, as you mentioned, that Scooby-Doo machine right there. Hopefully they can, maintain touch with this pack. We don't want to see the pack get broke up, but I'm afraid we do have a little bit of separation here between about the 8th and the 9th place car. Levi Cox trying to get a pack organized right here. I think they might be able to chase him back down.
Yeah, they're about, what are we looking at, about 6/10 of a second back. They're within a second. They're going to sniff a draft here momentarily, and we're using lingo that not everyone might understand. When we say draft, what is happening is these cars are poking a hole in the air. They're going so fast, and what is keeping them on the track is air pushing down on them. Now, when a car pokes a hole in the air and there's a car behind it, there's no air hitting the car behind it, and that lowers the drag and allows the car to have more speed, that second car in line. You can see several cars as we ride on board with Cox jumping to the outside. You can get a real big run on the car in front of you and complete a pass almost completely and drop down in line, as we see Cox try to do there on David Reichman.
Yeah, one thing I noticed right there just listening, and like I said, I don't have a ton of experience in these cars myself. I don't think they're driving all that great out here. That sounded like maybe a slight bit of lift right there in the corner. Now, he did have a lot of speed as they were catching that pack, but he's also got a little bit of damage to the right front, so I don't know if maybe that was making him a little bit tight as well, but yeah, might be some handling issues on these cars tonight.
Yeah, and Chris, one thing to consider is these cars are topping out at 193, 194, 195 headed into these 31-degree corners. And we're now 32 laps into what we believe is going to be a 43 to 45 lap fuel run. And what that means is these tires are getting worn, and some drivers' nerves and patience are looking like they're wearing, as well as we see the 63 collide with the 70 with a push from the 27 that sent him into the back of Aaron Smith. These cars are handling certainly worse than they were at the beginning of this run because the tires are beginning to wear. And you're seeing the effects. I think what maybe happened to Shea Wills was an effect of the tires. I'm seeing drivers kind of go through the trial just a little bit, getting a little bit more wiggly as well.
Yeah, they definitely are. As got a couple of dodges out here on the top right here. The 69 of Joshua Corner. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, chat, please. And the one of Levi Cox. They're trying to get hooked up right here. It's like they're having a hard time because that bottom lane right there, the moment that I say that they're getting organized on the top and are pushing, man, the 27 Shepsis into the back of Clapper, into the back of Smith in the 70, and they push that bottom lane out in front of the top. But they need a couple more guys to jump up there with them, looks like.
Yeah, man, I feel like we're starting to hear that Top Gun theme song, Danger Zone, playing. I'm just feeling like we're getting to that point where these drivers are starting to feel themselves a little bit, but their cars aren't handling as well as they were in the beginning. We're seeing some aggressive moves with race cars that are maybe not handling too well, and this is the danger zone, so to speak. Drivers going to want to make up as much ground before maybe a green flag pit stop. And hey, I want to take a break to talk about something. Nicholas Reynolds just subscribed, and it didn't cost him a dime on the YouTube channel. All you have to do is look under the video, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and it doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps our channel out tremendously. It gets the drivers that you're watching and rooting for out in front of more eyes. And, hey, it's even going to do you a big favor because we're giving away that small die cast tonight, Chris, but we'll go ahead and say it. We're giving away a 1/24th scale Dale Earnhardt Jr. Oreo paint scheme die cast that is autographed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. himself. And we're going to start that later on this week. And any subscriber is going to be eligible. We'll send out information to our subscribers about how to do that. But if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so you don't miss your chance to do that. Doesn't cost you a thing. But right now, 35 laps in the books. We're about 8 laps away from some pit stops, maybe even sooner, depending what these drivers themselves fancy, Chris. But let's talk about one of those stories we talked about in pre-race. I see some smoke on the track. That might have been, not sure what happened there. Did you see that smoke, or was that my imagination?
I did see
smoke. Was that
smoke.
the 29 maybe?
Possibly.
29, and Michael Benton maybe just smoked his tires coming to the pit stall. I think that's what happened. Just locked him up a little bit, Yep. Didn't even spin out. But regardless, we are still green. Chris, let's talk about teamwork and how that's going to extend into this first set of pit stops that we're going to be seeing here in just a few laps. Why is it so important that your pit stop go perfect, but you also have at least 1 or 2 friends with you?
Well, you know, on a typical track, a conventional track, you know, you might not want to pit the exact same time as somebody else because you want to possibly avoid some chaos on pit road. Maybe you want to go a lap longer, a couple laps longer to have fresher tires, you know, over the course of a run, or maybe you want to try to come a lap earlier. In this case right here at Daytona, you want to come with your drivers, with your teammates. You want to make sure that you're on pit road at the same time as them, so that way when you get off pit road, you have the drafting help necessary to get up to speed. And it's going to come down to, do you feel like you can run faster laps after the pit stop because you're running, you know, with people that you trust, running really close together? Or do people start peeling off and your pack is still organized, so you decide to run a few more laps or try to run those fast laps then? It's all about, you know, just sort of eyeballing things and you know, checking things out and seeing what the state of things are, you know, in that moment. So, yeah, we're getting closer and closer to it. You know, with Aaron Smith being out front for a lot of this, we've seen him leading a lane on the bottom for most of this race. You know, he's using a little bit more fuel than everybody else being out in front. A lot of these guys that are further back, you know, they're off the throttle because they're getting the draft. They might be able to go a little bit further. So, yeah, that's going to be a story to keep our eye on as well.
Hey, I do want to talk about that 07. He's about half a lap behind. What's he got to do? Almost contact, between the 27 and the 79 back here. Shepsis and Burleson almost came together, and that would have ended probably worse for the 27 of Shepsis. But what's that 07 of Shea Wills got to do if he's going to really bring himself back into contention here, a half a lap behind? What does he need to happen?
I think that he needs this back in front of him to have some trouble, honestly. You know, it's just going to be really, really hard unless there is a caution. And you know, in you know, for his race and in his defense also, you know, he's still alive. His race is not over. The odds of getting a caution are pretty great by the end of this thing, and you know, he just has to maintain position. You know, this pack is probably going to catch him at some point. And when they do catch him, you know, he'll just try to blend in with them and, you know, and try to race with them and hopefully be the first car a lap down. And you know, his race is not over. So if you're a fan of the 07, never fear. He's still in this thing.
The 07 still in it to win it. Just going to have a little bit of help. Right now, the number 1, Levi Cox, giving a lot of help to Joshua Kerner, shoving him across the line into the lead as they head down the front straightaway. Now for the 40th time tonight, it's going to be a lap led by Joshua Kerner. Aaron Smith now into second on the inside, Chris. And Aaron Smith, his heart rate, I saw it at 111 earlier as they worked their way down to the backstretch a couple of laps ago. Is up to 111 when he was taking some shoves there on the inside. A heart rate monitor feature we've got going on all season long. It's going to vary at different tracks and different moments, but it gives you an idea that these
car.
the 29 on the inside, that's going to be Michael Benton. Tire issues for the 29. We saw him come to pit road earlier, almost loses it in front of the lead pack.
I think that he was trying to get out of the way right there and just got caught on the transition between the apron and the banking, and it just sort of spun that car, just slowly spun it around right there. Everybody did a nice job to avoid him. He did a nice job to collect it. We're still green.
It reminded me of that moment in the 2003 Busch Series race where Tony Stewart drove it down across the grass in turn 1, back up onto the track, and somehow held on to it. Right now, marvelous handiwork by Michael Benton in the 29. The 63, meanwhile, Justin Clapper making some noise for really the first time tonight. 41 laps. It's that number 63 Clapper in the black and white. It looks like Maria Club paint scheme. I'm not sure what exactly that is. If you're watching, let us know what it is. But regardless, Clapper is getting towards the front. I know, I think it was Clapper maybe that is works in Monster Jam, Chris, working on monster trucks.
That's cool.
The mechanic, I believe, for several of those monster trucks.
Yeah, and he's the one car that I've seen that when he's up behind somebody. That was a little bit sketchy right there. I think he had a push from the 27 almost into the 69. That's the car that I would want behind me, I think, based upon what I've seen so far. He looks like he can really push well, push smooth, without maybe upsetting the car in front of him. Not really bumping, just kind of laying the bumper up against them.
I do want to make one correction. I was wrong. He is not a Monster Jam tech. That is Steve Lashinsky, who's in, I believe, out of country right now. Will be back in a couple of weeks. But, hey, his job is almost as cool as Justin Clapper's that is. He is a NASCAR pit crew member. So, you know, it's not like I was completely off the mark with that. We do have one Monster Jam tech and one NASCAR pit crew member. Just looking at some of the jobs these folks do on the side. Some pretty cool stuff. Just looking through some of this stuff right now. Looks like David Reichman, Chris, right now he is running in the 10th position. Cool looking car. He's a drummer in a metal band. I wonder if he's listening to... Oh, here we go, Chris. First pit stops of the night. Reichman is going to be one of them. Aaron Smith is the one to lead him on to pit road.
Reichman
now,
has
lap
trouble.
43.
Reichman has trouble. He missed pit road right there. He overcooked it. And that's going to be costly for the driver of the 6.
Chris, is this the first instance of the commentator's curse in Season 3 of the Thursday Night Thunder series?
We brought it on right here.
We brought it with us. If you're a new fan of Slingshot Racing Media or Thursday Night Thunder series, we are known for the commentator's curse. When we put a driver on screen and talk about him, it might as well be being on the cover of Madden football games. You can guarantee something's going to happen to him. So right now, that first crew comes down pit road, and it's going to put the pressure on Chris. The 07 Shea Wills pitting alone here. He has trouble getting onto pit road.
Yeah, and he just got lapped.
These cars are cooking it. Yeah, he just got lapped, so he probably didn't see any harm.
Yeah. So he just got lapped, so he decided he was going to come to pit road right there. But yeah, that's going to be costly. Sliding the tires right. Oh, it's Shane Coker right in front of the leaders.
Big crash, Coker into the wall, but everyone manages to stay out of harm's way. That 32 Genesee beer car into the wall, limping down the back straightaway, but we are still under green flag conditions. The green car into the wall does not bring out the yellow. You can tell that car is badly damaged and crippled as it makes its way down the backstretch. What a moment.
That was scary. We're going back to watch it right here. Yeah, he got the left sides down in the grass, and he was just chasing it, and unfortunately, he hooked it back right. And, man, everybody heads up all these leaders right here to avoid him.
Big heads up move right now. We're still under green, lap 46 of 125 in the season opener for Thursday Night Thunder. Chris, Justin Clapper, Levi Cox, Anthony Burleson, Gregory Shepard, several cars yet to come to pit road. Going to be hitting it up here anytime. They're coming up on this second pack, though, that has already been on pit road. But I'm kind of looking, Aaron Smith, looking at our telemetry here. They're coming up to lap Aaron Smith, it looks like. What happened to that first pack? Because that thing has disintegrated.
We got several drivers coming to pit road right here. Oh, the 34, Chase
Leahy. He's going to have a pit road speeding penalty. It will be a miracle if not. I was watching, and that thing looked like it was going 75 miles an hour across that line. So we're going to see what happens with the 34 here if he has to come serve a pass-through penalty here. But, yeah, this is the second pack coming down pit road right now. Kind of varying strategies. Several cars going to come to the attention of their crew. Looks like Robert Walton, Chris, had some issues. I think he either spun coming into his pit or maybe overdrove his pit crew, but either way, I saw him backing up into his stall. Justin Clapper, Levi Cox, Anthony Burleson, Chase Leahy, they're going to lead him off pit road, but that second pack is on its way. Aaron Smith really leading the charge on that.
Well, he's
kind of a lone ranger right now.
Yeah, he's by himself. And this is what I was saying before. Aaron Smith and a couple of those other guys came to pit road, and those other guys decided to stay out on the track. People like Justin Clapper, Levi Cox, Anthony Burleson, they decided to stay out on the track and keep on running because it seemed like they were really organized and running fast laps. And, unfortunately, Aaron Smith's group, they just weren't as organized, and I think they maybe had some pit road, speeding trouble possibly, and that really has separated this whole field out.
And you can see the strategy Aaron Smith's going to go with here. He is going to tuck in behind the 34 and the 27. That's Leahy and Shepsis, their teammates, but he's going to have a big old pack coming from behind. Those are the cars that pit earlier or pit later and just came out. So it looks like everyone's kind of fall back on top of each other. Those cars making the move on the outside, those are the cars that just came off pit road, I believe, earlier.
Now, I'll say this. I think it worked out better for Aaron Smith than what I thought it was going to work out. He's blended in really nicely. This pack right here has more cars. They should catch that group of three in front of them. This one right here that Joshua Kerner's leading, even though they are side by side.
Why does a bigger pack of cars, what's the physics or the science and why a bigger pack of cars tends to carry more speed? What's going on there?
It's just more energy, just more horsepower, all lined up closer together. And I'm not sure that I'm probably the best person to ask that, but I just, it's just more energy in the pack, and you're able to, the car behind can push the car in front of them a little bit closer, and that car a little bit closer, and that car, and everybody's just, as long as you can run tight and close together, then you should be able to run faster than a group of maybe like 2 or 3 cars.
And you can see that bigger pack creeping into the frame. They are coming on with a head of steam. I'm doing a speed comparison, Chris. Looks like 194 for Justin Clapper, the leader, headed down into the corner. Shepsis, that time by, was 196 headed into the corner. So at least 3 to 4 miles an hour faster is that second pack being led by the teammates, Shepsis and Leahy. Right now, they're really, really gaining over a second a lap.
Yeah, and that's 2 laps in a row. You're watching the Race Insights powered by Pierce Graphics, and you can see the difference right there. It's over 0.7 of a second, 2 laps in a row. And what I'm seeing right here is as that car is going as fast as it is entering the corner of this 34 car, it is really pushing because of how. As we got a car coming up the middle right here. And Chase Leahy kind of got hung out right there as he caught those guys. Well, let's give a call to Leahy. We said that he was going to get a penalty, a pit road speeding penalty. He did not get one, so he just timed that one perfect.
Wow, that was about as masterful job getting down pit road as I think I've ever seen there on lap 45 or 46 thereabouts. In the chat right now, Connor L. telling Mike, tough break with what was going on with the computer glitch. Also, John Rapp in the chat. Thanks for watching, Johnny. Saying, let's go Chase. rooting on the driver, that number 34 right now. The 79 and the 63, that is Burleson and Burleson tattooing the back bumper of that number 63 as they make their way down the super stretch. Several cars had to slice their way through the field like a hot knife through butter there a moment ago as these two packs kind of merged together and blended in. Aaron Smith all the way up to the third position now, Chris.
Yeah, and right behind Aaron Smith, Chris Blassie was delivering a push to him down the backstretch. Haven't talked about Chris Blassie too much tonight. We know how good he is on the super speedways. We've seen him win on the super speedways here on Slingshot Racing Media, so I'm not surprised at all to see him up on the back bumper of Aaron Smith.
Yeah, Blassie ended up in victory lane in our super speedway specialist fall classic just last fall a year ago. He got his inaugural win in Slingshot Racing Media. He takes a shot from Cox and he gives a shot back to Aaron Smith. Chris, I just imagine three marbles kind of bumping into each other there is what it feels like, and all drivers kept it in hand that time. Great job. This is a really good race in terms of the skill level, the just the professionalism of every single driver we've seen out here for the first 52 laps of this race. It's Clapper, Smith, Burleson, Blassie, and Kerner, your top five. 6th through 10th is Cox, Shepsis, Leahy, Grimm, and Walton. Hey, I want a little guessing game here, Chris. Glenn Grimm. Told us a fun fact about him. If you had to guess what Glenn's favorite candy is, what would you say? Pure guessing.
He's driving a Scooby-Doo car. I don't know. This is kind of hard. Please don't tell me it's candy corn.
It's not. That was a good guess. It's actually
okay.
Twizzlers.
Okay, well, hey,
that would have been a hard one to guess.
That's respectable. It's not something like I said, candy corn or almond joy.
Are you anti-candy corn?
Absolutely.
No.
Yes, I am.
All right, we're done with this whole broadcast. We'll.
Hey, do you like candy corn? Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You're probably one of the people who dislike candy corn, but you like the little pumpkins, aren't you?
No. No.
Okay. Well,
listen.
Least,
hey, you like candy corn?
You're consistent.
You like candy corn? That's communist behavior.
Well, sue me. Hey, let us know in the chat. Do you like candy corn? Yes or no to candy corn right now. Justin Clapper is his race is pretty sweet right now. He's out in front. Burleson and Smith are hounding that number 63, the leader of Clapper. Smith with the help from Blassie, who climbs that tri-oval to give Smith that helping hand on the inside. It's Anthony Burleson pushing the 63. Chris, based on the way we've seen that 63 and 79 working together, I'm also kind of looking at the fonts. I'm wondering if those two cars are not teammates.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's something that, hopefully we'll be able to figure out. It's very well possible that they are teammates. Let's see right here. Maybe we can
I think Chase Leahy, Greg Shepsis, Justin Clapper, and Tony Burleson are all in the same team chat. So watching Aaron Smith to the drop to the back as we look to go single file here on lap number 56. Coming to lap 56 rather. Aaron Smith loses about 7 or 8. I think that was strategic, Chris. I think he wanted to duck out of there. You saw his heart rate jumping up a little bit, maybe getting a little bit excited. We're going to go single file, looks like right now. We're going to, drivers maybe have had enough of this side-by-side, 56 laps in. We're approaching the halfway mark of this 125-lap season opening race for the Thursday Night Thunder Series. And, hey, this might be a good opportunity because I don't know tonight to hear from the presenting partner of the Thursday Night Thunder Series presented by Simlaps Market. Chris, you ever had a custom paint scheme before?
Oh, yeah.
It just completely changes the ball game, right? Like it's a personalized experience. You feel like you're a real NASCAR driver. You're not driving around one of those, little cheesy paints you made in the iRacing paint shop. You're driving the real thing just like the real drivers have. Let's go ahead and hear from Simrap Market, and you can find out how you get a custom sim racing paint scheme for the next time you're on iRacing. 98 of Bobby Grant, and that was a race for the first car a lap down. We stay under green, though. Grant in that Mountain Dew car that we were speaking of earlier, going to try to revisit what happened here. Rest of the field still working their way around. Let's figure out what happened to the 98 of Bobby Grant. As we were talking, Chris, this was a battle to be the first car a lap down.
Oh, man, that's some bad.
Qualifying for the lucky dog.
That's some bad net code right there. Looks like the 79 up in front of Grant right here. Grant's just an innocent victim right here. I think that the 79 was going to follow the 63, and he picked up a wicked push right there, and that is some disgusting net code right there on the 98 of Grant. He runs into the invisible rear bumper of this. I think he might have hit him anyway, but he clips the right rear of Wills as he comes down. Aaron Smith does a nice job of avoiding right here. Unfortunately, I think this might put Aaron Smith out of the pack. We'll have to go back and see right here.
No, they're catching up very quickly. They're about 4 seconds back, but they're going to hook up. Right now, they were going up 200 miles an hour into that last corner. Aaron Smith, these several drivers starting all the way up with, I believe, Gregory Shepsis. No, that's
I think that's the
Levi
sixth.
Cox. Yeah, the 6th of David Reichman, who is a lap down, is got a lot of help. This is going to be a 5-car pack, it looks like, trying to chase down. It looks like Gregory Shepsis is the last car on the lead lap in that first pack.
Yeah, what we'll do, we'll ride on board right here with Levi Cox, since he is the driver who is on the lead lap here at the front of this group. Man, it looks like they're having a hard time getting organized right here in this pack, and yeah, that's going to put him out of line right there. But luckily, this pack up in front of them is side by side. Yeah, these guys right here, I think they got to get organized, and they got to get organized fast, or otherwise they're going to have a hard time chasing down this pack in front of them.
Yeah, just that moment I saw Chase Leahy has closed about 8 to 9 tenths in the last lap and a half or so. And you mentioned this first pack is actually pretty disorganized. The top 3 are together, but there's a lot of space in between them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that second pack beginning with Chase Leahy begin to run them down. We're going to be keeping an eye on that interval. And Chris, we had mentioned it, that battle within the race, that race within the race, as you like to call it. Shea Wills is now the lucky dog contender, first car lap down. If a caution were to come out, and he actually now puts himself back on the lead lap.
He's going to do it the hard way.
He goes by Justin Clapper. You're right. He is going to go manual to take over the lucky dog position. Wants to get his lap back and not even have to worry about getting that lucky dog. He is going to be battling the 63. Now, coming back to a story we were watching earlier, the handling of that 07 as the run went on got progressively worse, particularly, Chris, when he was to the outside. It began to wiggle just about 15 to 20 laps in, and it is no coincidence we are at that stage right now once again in this fuel run. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that 07 Shea Wills as he looks to put himself back on the lead lap, but with a car that might not be handling the best. But right now, keeping an eye, Chris, the lead of that first pack is down to 3.1 seconds. They closed about another 6 tenths in the last 2 laps. So you mentioned it, that second pack is coming.
Yeah, and they're still side by side too. So I think the lap car Shane Coker's gonna. Oh, Shane Coker in the 6 make contact. That's David Reichman. They keep it straight, man. We're seeing a lot of contact out here on the track, but not seeing much in the way of crashes, which is a great thing. Now they're single file. Now we're going to see maybe what they got for them. And the 07 right here, Shea Wills, he's getting hung out right here on the top, but there's another car up ahead. He's going to have to deal with the 08 of Glenn Grimm, that Cartoon Network machine just ahead. He's gonna have to race him here in just a minute too. So it's not this is not all sewn up for him if the caution comes out.
Yeah, the Twizzler man is going to be a force to be reckoned with here in that 08 spooky themed month of October car. Justin Clapper's going to have to deal with him probably here coming into this corner out down the backstretch. But just as soon as we say that, Shepsis jumps into the lead on the inside. He is going to throttle up, and he is your new leader. Gregory Shepsis in that 27 with the help of Speedway professional Chris Blassie. Shepsis to the outside, the 63 contact. The 07, the 27 and the 15. 27 into the wall. Are you going to save it? That was the 69, I believe. My goodness, Joshua Kerner.
Oh, there goes the 27.
The 63 is going to turn the 27, Chris. There's so much going on here, but somehow we are still under green flag conditions. My goodness.
Man, there's just a lot of stuff happening. Yeah, we'll go back and I think they crashed about. I think we had
we
had about 4 different crashes. Yeah, this starts with a bad block right here from the 27. I think he kind of moves over a little bit. He wants to protect his position. And he's getting in the 63 is getting pushed at the same time. So they get turned into the wall right there. The 27 bounces off the 15 of Chris Blassie. Shepsis is fighting it right here. He tags the outside wall. Looks like the 07 is going to tag the 69 right there of Joshua Corner, turn him into the wall as well. And then the 27 is going to slide down the hill right here, and I think that he's also going to get hit from the 63 of Justin Clapper right here. Clapper gets into the back of Shepsis. Shepsis gets down on the apron, does a great job of saving it right there. And, man, I think that 27 car, Gregory Shepsis, was sideways about 3 or 4 times right there, and he never once spun out.
Yeah, hell of a job by Shepsis in the 27. Chris, I think every car in the top 5 had contact of some sorts in that incident. So, whale of a job right now. 66 laps in the book here at Daytona. More contact between the 66 and the 07 there. Robert Walton getting into a little bit of a scrum with 07. More contact, Chris.
This is for the Lucky Dog.
What is going on here? This is for the Lucky Dog, the race within the race. The 07 and the 66 are fighting tooth and nail. That shows you how important it is to get back on the lead lap for both of these drivers. 3 cars. Walton, Grimm, and Wills all fighting behind leader Chris Blassie. So Chris Blassie, the only car in this top 4 pack that is actually on the lead lap. He is your leader. He's got about a 4-second gap on Aaron Smith, Chris. All that chaos that we just talked about and watched the replays of set Aaron Smith second place back 4 seconds. Now closing that gap, now 3.7 seconds. But still, that shows you just how much momentum these little scrums can cause you to lose.
I'll tell you right now, if I'm Chris Blassie, I'm considering just going high and letting these guys in front of me and falling back to this other pack because these guys are.
Oh my gosh!
They are racing really hard.
Just cut across the nose of Glenn Grimm in that 08, and boy, we're getting more than we paid for here in the cheap seats here at Daytona for Thursday Night Thunder presented by SimWrap Market. And hey, Chris, want to mention, shout out the B-roll footage that you saw of the beautiful track here at Daytona and all the scenery, as well as all the cameras we are using, or I should say you are using, to excellently and artistically produce this race. They're provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. You've also seen in that top ticker several times throughout the night. So shout out to them. If you need any cams for your replays or screenshots or anything, reach out to Whiplash Sim Cams. Their website link is in the video description along with SimWrap Market. So shout out to them who make this series possible. But boy, you said it, Chris. This front pack is it's making me nervous. I think if Aaron Smith, he's watching it. Aaron Smith is watching it now, about 2.5 seconds back, and it's causing his heart rate to jump up over 110, now 115 plus beats per minute at a standard resting heart rate of 85. He is, he's getting a little nervous.
Yeah, and we'll watch right here with the Race Insights powered by Pierce Graphics. We'll see right here down the backstretch, overtake projected in 4 laps. If he continues maybe to increase his speed and, the draft will pull him there, I think he'll actually get there a little bit quicker. We'll probably see an update here at the line. That time by, he was 7/10 quicker. See how it updates right here, how much quicker he is this time. I'm willing to bet it's going to be a good bit more. 8/10 that time. Overtake projected in 2 laps. So, these guys right here, they're side by side ahead of him, though. Aaron Smith's got to be careful when he catches this group. And here I am telling Aaron Smith to be careful. He's really smart. He knows what to do. But these guys right here are racing in their own race, trying to get a lap back in case that caution comes out.
Yeah, man, I'm curious to see this heart rate continues to grow. I'm wondering how high this thing can get until it gets dangerous. What is a dangerous heart rate? I know if your mom is still watching, she'll be able to tell us that, Chris. Miss Cindy, if you are still watching, let us know what is a dangerous heart rate. But Aaron, look at him, threads the needle there between those two lap cars. He's going to bring Levi Cox with him in that number one, and Aaron Smith. 4 laps ago, he was over 4 seconds back, Chris. He is now back in front, or back to the front of the outside lane, working his way towards the front. That position currently being held by Chris Blassie. And boy, look at what momentum will do for you. With that shot from the number one of Cox, Aaron Smith pretty much gets out clear in front of the 15 like a rocket ship shot into space. He's on the outside. Blassie in that white and black machine with the orange lettering is on the inside. Little help from the 66, I believe. Ooh. That is a lap car. Robert Walton.
He gets
on
loose.
The inside. We mentioned it. Yeah, several lap cars in this front pack. How nervous does that make you as a driver?
Well, yeah,
if you are in this race.
I mean, these guys, I don't know how long they've raced together. Some of these guys, maybe they're a little bit new to the league. That's my biggest thing. If it's a driver that I trust, and they're a lap down, I'm totally good with it. But if it's somebody that I don't know, and sometimes, these opening races of the season, you don't know your fellow driver as well, as maybe you do later on in the season. So it's kind of hard to, predict what they possibly might do. And that's the only thing that I think would make me nervous is just, being unfamiliar with their tendencies, maybe how close they run or how aggressive they're willing to be. That's the thing that I think that I probably think about more than anything else in a pack like this, regardless of if they're on the lead lap or a lap down.
Yeah, it's the first race of the season. We're still learning the paint schemes. we're slow. I'm a little slow on the draw with the names because I'm having to look at the timing screen and match the numbers and all that. But slowly starting to get a hang of it, and that's what we're going to see from these drivers, especially by the end of this race. They're going to have a better idea of who they want to work with, who they don't want to work with as they get closer and closer to that white and ultimate checkered flag, Chris. Just about 50 laps away from that. We hit the 73 lap mark. We're going to lap 74 here at 125 in the season opening race for Thursday Night Thunder Series presented by Simrap Market. A couple of notes in the chat. My mother-in-law, Julie, in the chat. She says, hi, good to hear you. I'm glad to hear you are here. Thanks for watching, Moki. My wife in the chat says she can hear herself screaming candy corn. I might want to check on her. I think she's offended you don't like candy corn, Chris.
Oh, no. Another candy corn apologist?
We love candy corn in this house. We love candy corn. I'm just looking at our note sheet real quick. I'm curious. What year was candy corn first invented?
Oh my gosh.
Any guesses? Any guesses in the chat?
Well, if I can get a time machine, I could go back and maybe prevent that from ever happening. That would be great, but
if you had a choice of getting in a time machine, stopping something terrible, actually terrible, or stopping candy corn being invented.
Okay, maybe stopping the rise of Hitler would be great. Yeah, if I could go back and do that, I definitely would over candy corn. Yeah, I think so.
Hey, in the chat, Ejiman says, hello, fellas, hello. I think we're saying that right. Correct us if we're not Ejiman. Appreciate you tuning in. Hey, it's the 1880s is when candy corn was first invented by an employee at the Wonderly Candy Company in Philadelphia. It was originally called chicken feed. All right, so if you had your choice between calling it chicken feed or candy corn, Chris, what would you choose?
Okay, yeah.
Suddenly it's sounding better as candy corn.
Well, the sound is not so bad. It's just that waxy taste, I mean, nothing good was happening.
I tasted wax while I'm eating candy corn.
There's nothing good that was. There's nothing good that was happening in the United States in the 1980s or the 1880s.
1880s.
Yeah, nothing good happening. I mean, do you even know a president of the 1880s?
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with Benjamin Harrison.
Okay, I think that you're right. I think that's a little too soon.
James Garfield.
Yeah.
Someone look it up. So right now, getting off topic, we digress just a little bit. We're back here on lap 76 of 125. Aaron Smith is your leader, Blassie second, Clapper third, Burleson fourth, Levi Cox in fifth position. There is some separation. Top four separated itself from Cox. Back there, he's got the 07 of Wills working behind him, Chris. This is turning into a much more subdued race over the last couple of laps, and we've right now got, it looks like, 6 cars on the lead lap. Had a couple cars have issues. I think we saw some fallout from that collision we saw earlier down the backstretch. A couple things have happened over the course of the race, but nothing serious enough to put us under caution. We've been clean and green for 77 laps here. I have to talk about Candy Corn. Not that it's not an exciting race, but Chris Blassie really putting on a great show here as they approach the 69 of Joshua Kerner, I believe. Or no, that's...
yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was
16. Yeah, they're putting him a lap down right here.
Those paint schemes.
Man, some of these cars,
he's definitely slow.
Yeah, some of these cars look like they've been running at Martinsville. We got some banged up vehicles up here in this lead pack, and yeah, just 6 cars on the lead lap. So we've got a really intense battle for this lucky dog position. Man, if I'm Glenn Grimm, right behind the 66 of Robert Walton, I'm just not sure that I can be content to ride behind him. You never know when the caution's coming out. I mean, the caution comes out, you got to be in front of that guy, and you can't just pull out and pass him all of a sudden. So, you know, and we see right here the 07 Shea Wills. I think he knows that you're going to have to get up there and get after it. And maybe Grimm is going to jump out in front of him here, possibly.
Yeah, he's definitely wiggling about like he's thinking about where he can go on the track right now, but you mentioned it. It is a race within the race. Several cars lap down. That's 4 cars that just with a single caution could potentially get back on the lead lap and be within contention to race their way towards maybe a victory if they get back on the lead lap with the help of caution. There he goes, Chris. Glenn Grimm to the outside.
Unfortunately, he's got no help, though.
Yeah. No help on the outside. Glenn Grimm gonna have to do it with Shane Wills. There's some help there. Wills to the outside. I think it might have been because he got loose, or sorry, very tight, pushing up outside of the corner. Gonna try to jump back. A little bit of erratic movement there to the inside, down to that towards that apron. But this pack now 6, 7, 8 cars strong. Several of them are a lap down.
Yeah, and Robert Walton, he saw all that going on, and he thought, I got to be in front of that car right here. I've got to run this defensive line, and he jumped right out in front of Grimm. Very smart move by the driver of the 66, and he's going to force Grimm to push him to the front here, and he might unlap himself the hard way.
That is easier said than done with a guy like Aaron Smith being the one you're trying to pull it over on. Aaron Smith is one of the fastest drivers I think I've seen on iRacing, Chris. We've watched him race. We have raced with him, and the man is, I'm not going to say unbeatable, but he's hard to beat.
Yeah, he's really, really good, really smooth. You're seeing it here tonight. You know, he's led a ton of laps in this race. You know, he's been really, really far back, and he's been instrumental in making sure that the pack that he was in catches back up to the lead pack. And yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see him over the course of this season when we get to some of the more conventional downforce tracks. Watching to see how maybe these guys race against him there, and looking to see if there's anybody that can maybe challenge Aaron Smith on some of those, like I said, the more traditional tracks that we go to.
This race really is having it's giving me like a 1960s, 1970s NASCAR vibe. We mentioned that race of attrition. These cars, some of them look like they've been racing at Martinsville, that paperclip in Virginia, Chris. This definitely has an old school vibe to it right now.
It does, and these cars aren't driving well either. I'm watching a lot of cars push up off the corner, get really tight. Like I said, I'm probably not the best to speak to because I haven't driven these cars on a restrictor plate track in a really long time. So I was wondering, Ellis, if you could give us a weather check. Do you have any idea what the weather's like out on the track as well?
Absolutely. Hey, right now the weather on the track looks like little bit of wind, Chris. Eastern winds at 12 miles an hour. The track is at 124 degrees. It's 81 outside, partly cloudy. I was about to say, that is a hot track, which is probably causing these cars, some of the wiggling maybe we're seeing going on being caused by that. I don't know.
Yeah, and it definitely probably exacerbates a little bit of the handling issue that some of these guys are feeling, and we're starting to see some guys maybe fall off of this pack just a little bit. I mean, I think it's great. I love when restrictor plate racing can come down to handling. I think back to, on the service right here, some of the 1987 races at Daytona and Talladega. I think they put on a great show, and you mentioned super speedway racing, and I told you how much I really dislike it when I'm out on the track. But when handling comes into play, I really like it.
Yeah, I know you like a good a race with handling being the determining factor. Those are the ones that I never do good in. It's crazy how that works out. Right now, Aaron Smith's car is handling really well. He is your leader. 84 laps in the book. Coming to 40 to go here, just a lap or two. Smith is your leader. Blassie is second. He is a winner at Daytona. To their outside, they got a couple of lap down cars, Chris, that are working their way towards the front, trying to be the lucky dog or at least get their lap back the hard way. Justin Clappers, that third car on the inside, that NASCAR pit crew member. Clapper's been up front. He is no stranger, though, to a little bit of contact tonight with a couple of drivers earlier in the race. Levi Cox fourth. He's that black car to the outside with the red number 1 on it. He's going to join the 2 lap cars. And then behind them, it is Anthony Burleson in the 79. And we saw Burleson be involved in what almost really was the first caution of the race, and a big one at that. He has done a hell of a job fighting his way back in that 79, Chris, in 5th position. Burleson in that red and black 79 on the inside. That 7th car in that pack. Yeah, the 07 almost comes into contact with the field as they snake their way down the backstretch as he merges and blends back onto the track after a pit stop. Coker on pit road, Chris. We're getting close to pit stops right now. We're 85 laps. We're pretty much right at the same lap count. Aaron Smith on 41 lap old tires. It's been 41 since he's pit, 38 since Levi Cox pit. So that's really the 2 cars on that initial strategy, Chris. Aaron Smith and Chris Blassie, they're in the lead. They're the ones who came later. It's Cox, Clapper, Burleson, and Walton, as well as Glenn Grimm, those last 2 cars a lap down, that were the first cars to come last time. So we're going to see if that strategy holds up here. Joshua Kerner in the chat, by the way, says he ended up with required damage that had to be fixed, which is why he dropped back to 13th in that number 69 after an incident a little bit earlier on. Josh, thanks for joining us in the chat. Sorry it did not go your way tonight.
Yeah,
let us know. By the way, I'm curious, Josh, since we've got you on here, let us know, how is this thing driving later on in the runs? What is it hard to drive out there? Let us know in the chat.
A car that's handling really well is that 15 car, Chris Blassie. He's been right up behind Aaron Smith. Hadn't had a lot of clean air on that nose, but he's able to stay really, really close to him, and I think that's the sign right there.
Caution is out on the speedway. They're trying to figure out what happened here. The 07, yeah, Shea Willis. Looks like he might have spun it around.
Yeah, we're going to go back and watch it right here. He's side by side right here. Oh, some contact right here with the 69. Oh, yeah.
Josh Turner.
Yeah, and yeah, they just bounced off of each other a few times. I didn't want to rewind right there, but I want to give us a little bit better view. This is the overhead, the chopper view right here. That's Joshua Kerner on the
inside. That wasn't because you were typing to us, was it?
Yeah, so they bounce off each other, then they bounce off each other again. The 69 of Kerner is going to spin through the grass. The 07 of Shea Wills is going to spin across the tri-oval right here. And that's going to bring out our first caution. And that is a big break for the 66, I believe, of Robert Walton, who's going to get the lucky dog.
It is the 66, Robert Walton, who is going to take that lucky dog. And I don't believe anyone else put themselves back on the lead lap the hard way that time. This is going to be a break for all of our leaders. It's going to give them a chance to make one final pit stop under caution. That will take them to the checkered flag. If all goes according to plan, it's going to be Aaron Smith, Chris Blassie, Justin Clapper, Levi Cox, Anthony Burleson, who bring them down pit road. Those first 5 are the only cars on the lead lap. After 88 laps in the books here at Daytona, they're going to be coming to pit road here momentarily. And I'd imagine all of those drivers are going to be taking 4 tires.
Yeah, they will definitely be taking 4 tires, and yeah, this is going to set us up for a nice little dash to the finish right here. And Important to note right here in the Thursday Night Thunder series that there are no green-white checkers. I know that's a far distance off here at Daytona, but you know, coming down right here, haven't had any cautions so far. It's important to take note of that right here. So Aaron Smith's going to lead him down to pit road right here.
Leading down to pit road, 5 lead lap cars going to be coming to the attention of their pit crews. A little bit more room for error under caution, but you still got to hit your marks on pit road speed and not slide your nose into your pit stall as you come to the attention of your crew for those 4 tires and a tank full of gas. We're going to keep a close eye on that battle down pit road.
Oh,
to
some
see
contact!
If Aaron Smith.
The 63 of Clapper gets turned around going in. I think he made contact with maybe the 1 of Levi Cox. He's going to reverse it. Yeah, he's going to reverse it right here. We're going to go back and watch what happened, and I'm a little bit surprised that it happened. Maybe they were on the right side of pit road and it happened. I'm not sure, but Clapper's got to get this thing turned around right here.
They were coming to the attention of their crews. They had made that left-hand turn, both of them, into their pit stall, and I don't know if maybe Cox thought that the 63 of Clapper was going to just be a little bit faster rolling into his stall or not, but either way, that's some pretty hard contact. I'm really more concerned for the 1 of Levi Cox in terms of what kind of damage he's going to have to that front end here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
he's still on pit road, by the way, so he's definitely going to have some substantial damage that's going to have to be fixed. That was a hard hit.
He's out of the car actually right now. He might be going back to watch the replay, but I don't know if it was a situation where Justin Clapper maybe, like you said, was going a little bit slower than he anticipated because maybe he was trying to find his pit stall. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's so hard for me to tell right there based upon that information, but yeah, tough break for both those guys.
Yeah, tough break indeed. Hey, speaking of breaks, it's a good opportunity for us to take our final commercial break of the night, head into the final 35 laps of the race. We're going to go ahead and hear from Sim Wrap Market, who make the Thursday Night Thunder series possible. All right, back here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, just 35 laps left in the season opening race for the Thursday Night Thunder Series. I'm Ellis Thomas alongside Chris Smith in the Slingshot Racing Media booth, and we're getting ready for a green flag here, Chris. Top 5 are on the lead lap, but major development. We're going to add a few cars to that. We believe that the 6, the 34, and the 07?
Yeah, I'm going to make a correction. We were talking about that during commercial break, Ellis. I think they were 2 laps down because they came to pit road a couple laps before this this caution right here. So a tough break for those guys in the sense that, you know, the caution came out, but they're able to get one of their laps back. So now, yeah, the 6 of Reichman, the 34 of Leahy, and the 07 of Wills are now just 1 lap down.
Yeah. So this is going to be a 4-car battle, really. The race within the race to see if they can get in the lucky dog position and get back on the lead lap with another caution here. And you mentioned they're probably going to need another caution, I would imagine.
Yeah, they are. And yeah, we're going to have a couple rows of double file and then single file behind them.
Pace car pulls off for the first restart tonight. It's Aaron Smith leading Chris Blassie. That flagman waves the flag, and we are underway once again. It's Aaron Smith on the inside. He's got Levi Cox, who's repaired that damage, back on the lead lap. Blassie to the outside with Anthony Burleson to the outside. Right behind him, Justin Clapper, the 63. Look at the 07 go by very fast.
Hey,
like a
that was
rocket.
familiar, right?
That reminds me of something I might have done last night. He might very well have a black flag getting ready to be waved for him. We'll find out. That was definitely a Kyle Busch or Ellis Thomas move there. I was wondering what happened until it dawned on me. Oh, yeah, okay. And look how quickly they tracked that 07 down. Now the field's going to have to work their way through traffic. The 07 really not giving much of a wide berth to the top 5. They're probably a little bit nervous. Aaron Smith's heart rate was up to 115 there for a moment. The 07 and the 79. Looks like the 07 and Anthony Burleson get together for a minute. That 07's had a rough night tonight, Chris. That car just looks like it is not handling the way Shea Wills would like to see it handled. But boy, Levi Cox's car, despite the damage from that pit road collision with Justin Clapper, is handling just fine, at least well enough to get to the lead. Aaron Smith, second. Justin Clapper, third. Chris Blassie, fourth. And Chris, the 07 and the 98 come together once again. Bobby Grant and Shea Wills, heavy contact down the back straightaway. This is going to be one to keep an eye on. That 07 is really pinching drivers down just a little bit through the corners, and he looks like he's wiggling and not able to keep that line. I'm not sure if there's damage on that 07 car after a couple of collisions, but boy, they are having trouble getting by that lap car of Wills. As looks like Bobby Grant, the next one to go by. Or sorry, that was the 66.
Yeah.
The next one to go by.
Yeah, that was almost a block gone wrong right there. And yeah, this is the battle right here for the lucky dog. The 07 of Shea Wills and the 08 of Glenn Grimm. Oh, got a car on the wall. I think that's Chris Blassie up on the wall.
15. Let's see if we can find out what happened there as the rest of the leaders continue to mix it up down the Daytona super stretch. I think you just got loose, Chris. That thing drove up into the wall. No contact from anybody, but one of the top contenders in this race, super speedway winner Chris Blassie, dropping back to the back to sixth position. He's 3.8 laps, 3.8 seconds behind the lead pack now, and it looks like Levi Cox is a man on an island there on the outside, with everyone else electing to go low, going down in turn 1, lap 94. And boy, this race is changing complexion. It feels like every single lap, with drivers being eliminated from contention who we thought were going to be up at the front in the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, Levi Cox and Justin Clapper, we saw that contact between them on pit road, but luckily, there's just a few cars here on the lead lap, and so they're not really hurt by that. The driver who is hurt is Chris Blassie, who has taken that car to pit road. I believe he's out of that number 15 Chevrolet at this point.
I'm showing a connection issue with Chris Blassie. I'm wondering if that isn't what caused that kind of abrupt turn or kind of maneuvering into the wall there. It didn't look like on the surface that was what it was, but it definitely might explain it. Shea Wills looks to jump up to the inside, but it's going to be the 66 that is going to ultimately climb the hill, climb that banking along with Levi Cox right behind him. They're going to try to get something going on the outside, Chris. It looks like that fourth car in line, Robert Walton, he got his lap back a little bit earlier, and he is making full use of that as he takes a push from Levi Cox all the way to the front. That Bass Pro Shops car suddenly has some life under it.
Yeah, we saw Robert Walton in the early stages of the race really content to ride at the back of the field, trying to fill this thing out, but now it's go time, and here he is leading this outside lane. Got a lot of speed in that 66 car.
Chris, I was right. Your mom actually looked it up. She said that it was James Garfield who was the president in the 1880s.
Oh, nice.
Or one of the presidents in the 1880s. Hey, it pays to be a history teacher. I teach U.S. history. I should at least kind of know about it a little bit. So, yeah, appreciate Miss Cindy. You finding that. Ellen is mad that we criticized candy corn, apparently. She says, how dare you? I don't know what she means by that. But I'm just looking through here. Shane Coker in the chat. I thought the car drove just fine. He said he took 2 tires, and his right sides were very hot and just couldn't grip the apron.
Yeah.
Yep, we got Daniel Bergen here. It looks like Slingshot is back. He is happy about that. He's asking what league. It's Thursday Night Thunder. Thursday Night Thunder League racing tonight, Daniel. And then Connor back as well from dinner. Hopefully you had a great dinner. Right now, Aaron Smith and Robert Walton, they're eating well. They are your top two drivers. It's Walton in that 66 Bass Pro Shops machine to the outside. It's Aaron Smith in that bright yellow number 70 to the inside, and you can see Aaron Smith's heart rate climbing. By the way, your mom confirmed 160 is a dangerous level. Evan says he was at 160 in a race last year. I don't remember that.
He must be getting really excited.
Yeah, that might have been like during a big crash or something. But right now, Aaron Smith, somewhat calm, 110, but that looks to continue to climb, and I suspect for the final 28 laps of this race, it's going to get higher and higher and higher. But it's Aaron Smith right now getting a big old push from Justin Clapper, a little bit loose through the tri-oval, Chris. There are at least right now 5 cars that can win this race, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Chase Leahy maybe able to get back on the lead lap with Glenn Grimm, and they might make it an even bigger battle for the lead. But right now, you wouldn't know that any of these cars were indeed a lap down because they are racing like they are all in it to win it. It's a pack of about 10 down the back straightaway, down that super stretch, headed down into turn 3. It's going to be the 66 to climb the banking first as they enter. Now he drops to the bottom of the track, trying to head off the pass from the 70 of Aaron Smith, who's got help from Justin Clapper, and he successfully blocks. He's got to now do that as much as he can. Going to try to hold position by switching lanes back and forth, but Aaron Smith is smart. He's not going to let him do that, Chris. How difficult is it to continue? As you see, it's pretty difficult based on what we're seeing to kind of keep the cars behind you at bay, especially in this particular car.
I mean, it is difficult because, you know, some of these guys are really skilled at pushing. They know how hard, or I should say really how light you can push on them, but, you know, they've got the skill and they got the technique to do it. The one right there, you saw Levi Cox, he gave Aaron Smith a little bit of a shot down the backstretch right there. Aaron Smith immediately switches lanes. It is difficult to do. You are kind of a sitting duck, especially on the last lap. I think that I would want to still be the leader. I would want to have to make them get around me coming to the checkered flag. So you see Aaron Smith, he's been pretty gung-ho. The moment that he hasn't been passed much tonight, but the moment that he has gotten past, he has switched lanes to try to get back in the lead. He wants to control this race.
He definitely wants to control this race. Levi Cox, Robert Walton, Justin Clapper, Anthony Burleson, they're all going to have something to say about it right around here in the top 10. Some good-looking paint schemes out there on the track. Chris, you got any favorites that you've seen up here running up front so far tonight?
Man, I'm kind of partial to that 08 scheme right there, the Scooby-Doo Cartoon Network paint scheme. I think that's a throwback, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a throwback maybe to Robert Presley, back when he drove that car.
I think you are right. Was that a Cup Series car or was that a Nationwide, like an Xfinity car?
It was a Cup Series car. I want to say it was like maybe 96, 97, somewhere around in there. But I remember he turned over a Cartoon Network car at Daytona in the Daytona 500 once. I don't think it was this paint scheme, but I think it maybe was the same year that this paint scheme came out. So that's a good-looking ride. They
just don't do the specialty paint schemes like they used to, do they?
Nah, they don't. I also kind of like a clean paint scheme as well. You know, I'm kind of partial to those as well. So that number 1 of Levi Cox, I think that's a good looking ride. Of course, it's hard to beat the iconic yellow number 70 of Aaron Smith.
It is. We've got some good ones out there. Hey, that red and black though, Slingshot colors, man. That number 1 represent the Slingshot brand well. Just no Slingshot logos on it. But a good-looking car either way. A little bit of contact with Robert Walton, who's worked his way into second right now in that Bass Pro Shop 66. Doing a whale of a job. I feel like he's been through a whole lot tonight, Chris. Started 16th. He's the biggest mover of the night, up 14 positions. And I swear, I think he's probably passed 3 times that many cars over the course of the evening. But after starting at the tail end of the field pretty much, Walton is probably liking where he's sitting right now.
Yeah, he's probably feeling really, really good, especially, you know, where his race was looking just, a few laps ago, being a lap down. And, yeah, some of these guys back behind him, they're looking to maybe be in that position as well. We get close to the end right here. Anything can happen. Right now, Chase Leahy right here in that 34, I think he's sitting in a really good spot because all the guys who are a lap down that he's racing with are on the top lane with him. Oh, we got trouble right here. This is...
29 almost causes an issue. Michael Benton there wasn't sure where to go, and I don't think anyone knew where he was going to go, but they all make it work. Headed down to turn 1, Chris. That was a dicey moment for sure.
It was. Luckily, they all kept it straight. Everybody's were clean and green still, and it's like Robert Walton's falling just a couple car lengths back. He's getting a good push, though, on the outside. They're going to bring that outside lane up alongside Aaron Smith again.
That outside lane gets organized. It's Walton, Cox, the 34 of Leahy, and then Glenn Grimm. That outside line getting rolling, but they don't have as much horsepower on the inside. It's Aaron Smith, Justin Clapper, Anthony Burleson. I believe the 98 is also in that fray, Bobby Grant, and then Shea Wills right behind them, that orange car, fifth in line. And it's a two-man tango. Up top now, it's the 66 of Walton with Levi Cox coming on with a head of steam. It's 2x2. It's a four-way battle for the lead right now, Chris.
It is, and unfortunately they kind of lost their momentum right there, looking back from the left rear right here.
Oh! Sorry, I saw almost an incident back there. It looked like maybe Chase Leahy and someone else had contact. I think it might have been Glenn Brown. But they both gather it up. And, yeah, that outside line, Chris, is at a clear disadvantage. It's just got less horsepower, less cars. But they're making it work right now, at least for a half a lap or so.
Yeah, and we'll see right here if Cox can maybe push Walton clear. It's just so hard. It's really, really difficult to do that, and especially when you got such a good push on the bottom right here. Justin Clapper to the rear bumper of Aaron Smith. It's going to be really hard to beat those guys.
It is going to be incredibly difficult to beat those guys. Just 20 laps to go at this point. We are past 80% of this race. This is going to be the final dash to the finish. Every single lap is going to count. Every single corner is going to count. Right now, Aaron Smith has led the most of them out front in that number 70, but he's got Justin Clapper right behind. And let's talk about resiliency. It was Clapper and Cox who got together on pit road just about 16 laps ago, Chris, and they have repaired that damage, and you wouldn't be any the wiser that they had major contact because they're both out there. They're racing respectfully. The cars really don't look that beat up.
No, they're up here. They're in contention. They're still they still got a lot of speed in their vehicles, and yeah, if you didn't know better, you wouldn't even know that they were in any type of incident. And man, that one car, that's impressive right there through 1 and 2 right there. That he was able to stay as close as he was to the 66 of Robert Walton. Walton holding a real pretty line when he was that close to him, and making it real easy to push him. That's what you want as a pusher. You want that guy in front of you to be predictable, and Robert Walton's doing a nice job of that.
Did you know that Chase Leahy, who was in that pack just a few minutes ago, actually had driven winged sprint cars
really
for several years up in New Jersey? So yeah, we got a couple of real life drivers and mechanics and pit crew members in this series, and I'm told that Tyler Truex and Ryan Truex race with them from time to time, New Jersey boys as well. So big Northeastern presence here, but we're not in the Northeast. We are in sunny Florida here. 18 laps to go at Daytona. It's Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith in the Slingshot Racing Media booth. Appreciate everyone who's watching right now, tuning in, really sticking with us through the long haul for an 125-lap race. These drivers have put on a hell of a show. Only one caution tonight, just about 16, 17 laps ago. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want more racing content like this throughout the week and you want a chance to win giveaways, go ahead, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a single thing. And here in just a lap or two, we're going to do that diecast giveaway. We're going to choose one lucky fan who's chatted with us during the race. If you haven't, you still got a chance to put that in there. We asked a question earlier. We didn't get a whole lot of responses. I'm curious, what's everyone's favorite Mountain Dew flavor? Or you got another option. Do you like it? Is it good or is it bad? Let us know your answer to one of those two questions. Here in just a couple of laps, we're going to choose a winner. We'll send you a free 1/64th scale diecast. But boy, these cars, they're the big cars, and they are big stakes as these cars come off the corner. Just now 18 laps left before one of them wins and is immortalized in Daytona Victory Lane and cements themselves into the playoffs for the Thursday Night Thunder Series. I should say cement themselves, but winning the first race out, it sets a tone, sets a precedent, and it puts you in a good position in those points, Chris. So there is a lot on the line here.
Yeah, especially when you think about, like, a lot of people look at Daytona like, well, I'm going to get crashed, so I'm just going to count that as my throwaway race. That's going to be one that, we just, hey, I'm going to go about the rest of the season and try to get all the points that I can. If you can walk out of here with a good finish tonight, all the I would say all the fenders on the cars. I look around, I don't see a lot of I see some fenders missing on some of the cars, but if you just walk out of here with a decent finish, you know, at the end of the day, maybe that's all it'll take at the end of the season.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're going to see more damage on these cars before we retrace number 15 with several short tracks. And contact between the 1 and the 66. It was Levi Cox getting into Robert Walton and almost sent him sailing down into 63 of Justin Clapper, Chris. But we avert crisis, but it looks like Cox might think better of riding behind the 66. He does slide back in behind as those cars clear turns number 3 and 4 for the 110th time tonight. 15 to go. Aaron Smith leads him off the corner. He's got Clapper and Burleson behind him with Robert Walton there, the first car on the outside in 4th place. If you're looking at that number 98 car of Bobby Grant, he is a lap down, 2 laps down, I should say. We've got that other battle for the lucky dog position underway at this point. The leader right now, first car lap down, David Reichman in the 6. You see him at the bottom of the track, that last car to slide in front of the 07, that bright orange machine. We have also got Shea Wills, who is second in that orange machine. Chase Leahy, all fighting for that lucky dog position. Chris, 2x2x2. I don't think this is going to tone down at all. I think we're going to get even more intensity as the laps click away. The 79 of Burleson into the back bumper of the 63 of Justin Clapper. Talk to us, Chris, a little bit about that. Looked like it was almost a bad bump in terms of bump drafting, where that car hit the back bumper of the car in front of him. How important is to square that car up when you're bumping?
It's super important, especially in these vehicles right here. Yeah, you don't want to be offset to the left or to the right, especially to the left here when the driver is already turning to the left in the middle of the corner or maybe down in the track. Oh, as we see, that was almost...
goodness.
Yeah, that was almost hooked from the right rear right there. And yeah, the 66 got a little bit sideways from an initial push from the 1. And then, you know, that kind of got him off center for the next push. And, you know, that's sometimes how things happen. And, it's so important. It's so important to be as straight as you possibly can be. It looks like Leahy in the wall right here as Aaron Smith getting a push from the lap car of Shea Wills, going to try to get the lead back right here. We'll see right here if maybe the 66, now that he has position on the bottom, can he and Levi Cox, can they maintain that? We've seen those guys working together quite a bit here since that caution flag. I'm not sure if they're teammates, but they are spending a lot of time nose to tail here.
Yeah, Chris, take a look. Everyone watching in the chat and on YouTube right now, look at that heart rate for Aaron Smith, that bright yellow car, 135. Miss Cindy, the nurse, told us 160 was a zone you might want to avoid. He's up to 135, Chris. This is the highest we've seen him all day as he ducks to the bottom of the track, down into 3 to block the advances of the 66. He's not going to be able to do it. Down the front straightaway, Robert Walton with 07. Looks like Shea Wills right behind him. Boy, Chris, this is intensity is picking up right now. Aaron Smith, the driver who's known for being Mr. Ice, calm, cool, and collected. That heart rate is ramping up in the final 11 laps of this race.
He's coming back.
That's probably the highest I've ever seen it for Aaron.
Yeah, this is great stuff. Trouble.
98 collects the 6 down the back straightaway. 2-lap car is going to come in contact. We are still under green. They sailed off towards the backstretch inner retention wall, and boy, those were some hard hits. Hopefully they're all right, as the medical crew's not going to have the opportunity to come check on them before they drive away or they tow it back to the pit. Either way, we're still under green right now. Aaron Smith, that lead yellow car, Justin Clapper second, Robert Walton third. That 4th car in line is Shea Wills. He is a lap down, but he's got Anthony Burleson, 4th place, right behind him. Burleson's going to go ahead and pass the 07. Just with now 10 laps left, it is a 4-car race. It looks like pending some sort of caution in the final 10 laps, unless... Looks like Levi Cox, Chris, back there with the helping hand from Chase Leahy. What do you make of their chances? These 2 cars teamed up with maybe a top 4 that are mixing it up. I think they've got a shot. They look like they're closing a little bit.
Yeah, I think they do. Looks like that crash right there, maybe the 07 squeezed the car into the wall on the outside. Those guys bounced off of them right there, and unfortunately the 98 and the 6 spinning to the inside. Yes, I think the 1 and the 34, I think they definitely will catch these guys, and they're going to have a run. And what are they going to do with this run once they get there? You want to try to especially for the one of Levi Cox, you'll try to utilize this momentum right here. He's got a lap car right here, the 07 Shea Wills. Shea Wills is going to want to stay in front of him right here and maybe get a push. And, oh, here comes Justin Clapper. He's going to take advantage of these guys coming up behind him, and he's going to have the momentum here.
Oh, the 07 cuts off the advances. The 66 Clapper, like you mentioned, takes advantage of it. He's going to get to the inside. Now Aaron Smith's got the 07. There's the palindrome we've been talking about all night. The 70 and the 07. The 70 draws back to Justin Clapper, who is your lead car. Nate Burleson, or Anthony Burleson, I should say, third in line there. Oh, sent into the wall. The 07 collides with the 66. That is going to give us a late race caution. And boy, that took out a couple of contenders, Chris. I think we'd been waiting for a moment like that, and we finally saw it on lap 117. Let's return to the scene of the crime to see if we can't determine what happened here.
Yeah, some aggressive side drafting going on right here. The 07 of Shea Wills, he's trying to get his lap back. He's trying to keep himself in really good position. And to do that, you got to be really aggressive, and here he is. It looks like he just misjudges a little bit and gets down into the right rear of the 79. We're going to go back and maybe watch this from overhead. That way, we don't, errantly call this crash right here. The 79 right here on the bottom, that's Burleson. Wills on the outside right there. And, yeah, he just kind of hooks him in the right rear. That was really close. He was almost clear of him. Man, unfortunately right there for the 66 of Robert Walton, nowhere to go. That guy, Robert Walton's been so fast here in the second half of this race.
He just fought back.
Yeah, I hate to see him get caught up in that crash right there. We'll go back right here, and we'll actually ride on board with the 07 of Shane Wills right here. Here he is on the outside. He's going to try to tuck in line behind Anthony Burleson right here. And he just hooks him in the right rear. Just misjudges that just slightly. We'll actually ride on board with Anthony Burleson as well, so you can see what it's like to get turned head-on into the wall at Daytona. It's not a fun experience.
Not a fun experience at all.
He's right here riding behind Aaron Smith, and he gets turned.
That's going to put us under caution for the second time tonight. Just about 7 laps to go, Chris. The good news is there's going to be time for a restart. The bad news is there are no green-white checkers in the Thursday Night Thunder Series, so likely, in all likelihood, if we restart around lap 118 and we go under caution, anytime after that, the likelihood of getting this thing back underway is pretty low. All right, so that's the bad news. And, we always try to add some good news into bad news. The good news here, and it might be bad news for others, is that your winner of the diecast giveaway is Nick Reynolds. So, Nick Reynolds, if you are still watching, we'll try to reach out to you either way. You are the winner of the diecast drawing tonight. We're going to send you you're going to send us an email. We're going to enter in our email down at the bottom in the chat for you to send us an email letting us know where we should ship that diecast to. It's ssracingleagues@gmail.com. That is now in the chat. So, Nick Reynolds, if you're still watching, please go ahead, send us an email, and claim your prize. And, hey, several drivers still looking to claim prize. The biggest prize tonight, that is that Harley J. Earl Trophy for winning at Daytona in the season opener. You can still be a winner. There's plenty more diecast giveaways to give away for the fans watching at home. 14 more races left on the season, and that Big Dale Jr. giveaway we were talking about earlier as well. More to follow on that next week. But right now, we're going to see anyone pit here, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think we already have a couple guys on pit road here. The 1 of Levi Cox, the 66 of Robert Walton. I think they're getting damage repaired. Looks like Justin Clapper, Aaron Smith. I'm not sure of tires. I'm not sure of tire limits in this series. I don't know. I think that both Clapper and Smith definitely have used 2 sets of tires already. So if there is a tire limit, and they've already used 2, I will admit that I'm not 100% sure about in this series. We'll try to figure that out for next week, definitely. Then they've already used them up. But, yeah, it's a good chance for some of these drivers to get some damage repaired on pit road.
And they'll be doing their best to get these cars in shape. Now, what I will say, Chris, I believe David Reichman, is he going to be the lucky dog on this in the number 6?
I think that Chase Leahy was the lucky dog, and I think
Oh, yes, you are right. He's already caught up. He's in 3rd position now.
Yep. So that's great news for all the Chase Leahy fans that are watching. He is back on the lead lap. I'm not sure that if I can get a really good picture of that, but I'm pretty sure that Chase Leahy has a Star Wars. Is that a Star Wars Rebel Alliance helmet that he has on? Maybe. If it is, that's pretty sweet. I can kind of see it through the windshield right there. It looked like the Rebel Alliance logo. If that is what it is, and that's a sweet helmet.
Yeah, I believe you are correct about that. Yeah, you're right. That absolutely is. That's cool. That's
sweet
cool.
Helmet.
Little helmet design there. So right now, just setting it up, it is going to be a wild finish here. 120 of 125 laps complete. I believe we're going to be taking the green flag on lap 121. That'll be a 5-lap shootout. Remember, these cars take at least a lap to kind of get up to speed, closer to probably a lap and a half. So we're looking at really 4 laps of full speed racing, and I suspect, based on the rules in the TNT series, there are no green-white checkers. This is it, Chris. This is kind of the last shot, I would imagine. So these drivers, we're going to have at least 4 hungry drivers on the lead lap that are going to be duking it out. Clapper, Smith, Leahy, and Cox. That's who it's going to come down to. The 63, the 70, the 34, and the 1. Now, we know Aaron Smith. He's a known quantity. He is willing to... we know that he's willing to do some stuff to win, but he's not going to wreck anybody to win. He can be aggressive, but how aggressive do you suspect we'll see him here on this restart?
I think he'll do everything he can to win the race, short of causing a crash or wrecking people, because we know, we've seen him. That's not his style. That's not his signature, and I don't expect to see anything like that. But at the end of the day, this is restrictor plate racing. Contact does happen. We do have crashes. We've seen them tonight, and but I don't suspect that I don't think that we'll see that out of the 70. Hopefully we can stay green here to the end and see a green flag finish.
Yeah, that would definitely be what we want to happen here. Also, let's not forget about that small history between the 63 and the 1. Clapper and Cox. Either way, the pace car is going to peel off here for the last time likely tonight. It's going to be on Clapper. He's going to take the green. He gets out clearly ahead of Aaron Smith. We've got some separation here for the final 5 laps. It's Clapper, Smith. Leahy drops back just a little bit, Chris. He had 2 cars in front of him that were a lap down. He's going to have some work to do if he's going to catch up to that 2-car tango of the 63 and the 70. He jumps to the outside of the 6 to see if he can make that happen. Leahy really is one of the cars that we're going to be keeping an eye on, but jumping back up to the front, it's the 63 and the 70, Clapper and Smith. 4.5 laps to go now. Smith really looking out of his windshield, asking himself when to make the move. How far can you be away? How many laps do you have? And better yet, Chris, we mentioned it. If we get a caution, this race is effectively over, and the leader at the time the caution waves is going to win the race. So Aaron Smith's got to also keep that in the back of his head. This is his only shot now. 4 laps to go. Clapper doing his best to kind of predict what Aaron Smith is going to do. He's going to have to be a magician if he's going to hold on to this lead from the veteran Aaron Smith and that bright number 70. It's Chase Leahy a couple cars back behind Glenn Grimm, and they are catching them, Chris. You mentioned it. They're more organized. Chase Leahy jumps out just a little bit. He's got Cox behind him, but the numbers don't lie. It's going to be a 3-car pack chasing a 2-car pack, and you can see the distance between them shrinks to a microscopic level. Headed down into turn 3, it's Glenn Grimm, that lap car that has brought Chase Leahy in 4th place. Levi Cox back into the fray. He's going to get out of the way, and it's going to leave Leahy and Cox to the outside. It's a 4-car battle for the lead with just now 3 laps to go at Daytona. Leahy to the lead for the first time tonight.
Leahy with a push right here from Levi Cox. They've got a little bit of momentum right here, but here comes the 63 of Clapper. He's got the momentum right here with Aaron Smith right behind him. These cars are glued together, Ellis.
They are glued together as they head down the backstretch. Now for the next to penultimate time, it's Leahy to the outside. Cox with a little bit of a wiggle down the back straightaway into 2. It's going to be the 63 of Clapper and the bright yellow 70 of Smith. Cox jumps to the inside. He leaves the 34 in the wind. Leahy back to fourth position. Smith to the outside. He climbs the banking into the trioval to make a pass for the lead. Looks like the 63 of, Levi Cox now with the 1 pushing the 70. Clapper, a man on an island. He's now got Leahy behind him. He's got to be careful not to get into the bumper, the number 1 who tries to head off the pass. Down into turn number 2. Onto the backstretch they go, Chris.
63 of Clapper pulls right up to the rear bumper of Aaron Smith. A great move by Smith to take the lead. Can Justin Clapper answer right here? Can he get a push from Leahy back behind him, Chase Leahy, and get around the 70 of Aaron Smith? We're coming to the white flag.
It's those first 4 in line. It's Smith, the 63 of Clapper, Leahy, and Cox. They're going to be coming to the white flag. This is going to be it. 4 more corners, 4 more chances if you're the top 4 with their date with destiny here at Daytona. It's Smith, Clapper, Leahy, who's got a pass coming from Cox on the outside. Cox and Leahy will be fighting. How much of an advantage will that be to Smith and Clapper headed down into turn number 1? Cox looks to think better of it. He's got Glenn Grimm right behind him. Will the lap car of Grimm play a role in this? The top 3, now 4, nose to tail down the backstretch. There goes Clapper. He's got Leahy behind him. Cox chooses to go with the inside car of Aaron Smith. It's 2 by 2 headed down into turn number 4. Clapper to the outside. Smith, a big hit from Leahy to the back bumper of Clapper. He's going to need all the help. Can he get it done? Leahy pushes. Smith is going to win it across the line at Daytona. It's going to be Clapper second, Cox third, Leahy fourth. Wow, Chris. That was a wild one, and I think it delivered everything we thought it would based on what we saw all night long.
Great finish. Great clean run to the line right there. Hard racing and a green flag finish. You love to see it, Ellis.
You really do love to see it. Great race. Great pace tonight, 125 laps, one of the fastest 125 lap races I think I've seen for a while. We're going to take just a moment to collect our thoughts and make sure we get everyone in place where they need to be. We're going to hear from your top 3 finishers here in just a moment. We're going to try to bring number 3 finisher Levi Cox into the booth first. Give us just a moment, folks. We will go ahead and pull in Justin Clapper, who was your second place finisher tonight. Give us just 1 second. We'll pull in Clapper, hear from him while we wait to hear from our third place driver. Give us just 1 second. Oh, there's Levi Cox. We'll get him in now. All right, Levi Cox, driver the number 1. Hell of a finish tonight. It's Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot Racing Media booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, man. Wow. You had kind of a roller coaster of a race. You were kind of up, you were down. We saw what we thought was a serious crash on pit road. Let's kind of just start there. What exactly happened between you and Justin Clapper as y'all made your way down pit road in that next to last caution?
Oh, you got to start with the embarrassing stuff.
We'll get it out of the way, man. We'll get it out of the way.
I haven't been on the sim in 2 years and just started back Friday, so I was under the assumption that he was going to be a ghost car at that point and just ran right into the back of him. So definitely embarrassing. Feel like an idiot, but glad we were able to finish all right because of that, or with that.
Yeah, all's well that ends well, right? And hey, for someone who hasn't been on the sim in a couple of years until just a little under a week ago, you did a hell of a job out there. Talk to us about just the overall feeling in that car. We saw you guys mixing it up all night long. You know, it was a smaller field, but it delivered every ounce of an intensity that a 30 or 40 car field would. What was it like inside that car?
Yeah, it was fun. Definitely could create runs. Side draft worked a little bit. Tires were falling off, so at the end of the run, you were definitely tight. Caught me off guard early in the run. I was not expecting that at Daytona, and just was coming up out of 4, and it just went straight to the wall, and I was like, man, that definitely confused me. So Definitely wanted tires there at the end. I was surprised the leader stayed out just because it is a benefit. So that was nice to see. But yeah, it was fun creating runs and pushing. Felt like I pushed 3 or 4 guys to the lead there, so that was fun.
You made that choice to look like go with Aaron Smith right there at the end. What was the thought process there?
I knew I couldn't win, so I just wanted to help make a good finish and see if I could gain a spot there. I couldn't have pushed the 2 cars up high and then finished third either way, so just wanted to see a good finish. And Aaron, he was pretty dominant, so I think he deserved the victory.
Well, man, we appreciate your help with the great finish. You absolutely delivered. We're going to let you go celebrate. Before we do so, you got any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, Larry Yingling. He was my crew chief tonight. And then Cody Glenn Cox Music on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Go check them out. And thank you guys for the broadcast. It was a pleasure meeting everybody, and thanks for Chance putting on the league. And I'll get to know you guys better throughout the year. I already forgot y'all's names, but definitely thank y'all and appreciate what y'all do.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, and it's a pleasure talking to you. We look forward to getting to know more about you as the season goes on. Levi Cox, everybody. All right, Chris, that was Levi Cox. We're going to bring in second-place finisher Justin Clapper.
Justin Clapper, our second-place finisher. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy, bud?
Sure do.
Man, Ellis and I were talking about it before. This was a small field of drivers tonight, but it did not disappoint. It felt like a full field of 30, 40 cars out there. Was it as intense in the driver's seat as it was from us watching from the broadcast booth?
Intense is definitely the word to use. For the field being the size it was, I'm telling you, out there, it definitely felt like a full pack. I mean, it was unbelievably intense from the drop of the rag to the checkered. There was really no break.
What were the cars driving like in the pack? Were there any type of handling issues like over the course of a run? Did they start to tighten up over the course of a green flag run?
Tight would probably be an understatement. We noticed after the first stop that there was a lot of right front tire wear. Actually, a teammate, Chase Leahy, had a tire blow out on him. So we realized, a lot of times with super speedway racing, you get away with kind of a fuel-only stop. And we realized we actually were very thankful we took tires that first stop because of that tire wear. And definitely right sides were wearing a lot more. And it was creating a massive tight on the off of 4 especially.
Well, I definitely put on a really good show tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch. Coming to the end right there, you were up in the midst of the battle right there, battling it out with Aaron Smith. If there's anything that you could go back differently and do, is there something maybe that comes to mind there on that final restart coming to the checkered flag?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go back and watch a replay. I really don't think I could have done anything different. I mean, except for maybe waiting. I had Chase lined up there, and we had a game plan that we were going to make our move on the backstretcher going into 3. And there's nothing more you can ask for than clean air and a teammate behind you on the last lap at Daytona, and I had that. So looking at it from that perspective, I don't really think there's anything I could have done. Now, maybe if the 08 comes up to our lane, we get the advantage. I'm not too sure how much that air affected the bottom line to help the 1 stay with the 70. But, man, that yellow banana mobile out there of Aaron Smith is a hot rod any week. And you guys will probably see that as the season goes on, how talented that driver is.
Oh, we've lived it. We've raced with him and broadcasted many of his races, and we know all too well he is a hot rod.
Yeah, he definitely is. But you gave him all that he could handle tonight there, especially coming to the line. Do you got any shout-outs that you want to give before we let you go celebrate this second-place finish?
Yeah, absolutely. Sponsored by Car Mania Club. We're a group of diehard wrestling fans that join together and raise money for Connor's cure of pediatric cancer. So a lot of the winnings I get on iRacing get donated to them. So you can donate today at v.org/Mania Club, and it's a great cause for pediatric cancer. Shout out to those guys.
Very cool cause. That's awesome. That's Justin Clapper, our second-place finisher. Great run tonight, bud.
Thanks, guys. Awesome job up there, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you heard from the third place and second place finisher. Now it's time for the man in victory lane, Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith, it is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot Racing Media broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you.
Man, we just can't get away from me. First of all, congratulations on the win. Well deserved. Boy, that was a dogfight at the end, and it was a dogfight all night. We've been talking to the other two drivers, and we were talking throughout the broadcast about how this race, while a smaller field, put on as intense of a show as we think we've seen at Daytona. It was a night of ups and downs. We just had 2 cautions. Talk to us about the level of intensity. How difficult was that car to drive for you as the runs went on? We heard that it definitely tightened up a little bit. How true was that for the 70 Mobile?
Yeah, it certainly got pretty tight there. I think my right front was around 77% at the end of the first green flag run. I'm not sure if y'all saw me drifted in there, but I certainly underestimated the tire wear. I almost ended up losing myself the race there. So I'm glad it all worked out there at the end. And there were 3 cars that could have beaten me there, and we were able to fight hard for it.
And man, it looked, you make it look easy, no matter where you are, no matter where you're racing. We did see your heart rate climb, man. There was a point where you were upwards in the high 130s, which was the highest we've seen you all night long from that 85 to 90 kind of resting rate. Were you starting to get more nervous as the race went on? There was definitely a point where it went up. What was going on there? Do you know?
Thought I saw it hit 150 at the start-finish line there at the end, but yeah, it's just a product of Daytona. Doesn't matter how many cars we have or how strong they may be, but there's always a chance someone's going to get you. So there's always that looking over your shoulder aspect through it all. But I'm glad it all worked out there for me at the end.
Yeah, it definitely worked out for you for sure. Now next week we are headed to a very very different track. We're headed to Las Vegas next week. Talk to us about the differences in what we saw tonight and what we can expect at Las Vegas in terms of the type of race we're going to see.
Well, I'm sure y'all might know what to expect from me at tracks like that, especially with the long runs. But yeah, if the right side tires end up nearly as difficult to keep on the car as they were this week, I feel like it'll be vital to stay around the bottom lines and kind of keep the tires under you. Just don't really push all that hard, even though these cars are very easy to push hard. So we'll have to see if I'm right next week.
We will find out at Las Vegas. Hey, before we let you go, same song and dance. Any shout-outs for anybody?
Oh yeah, I'd like to thank the folks at the Thursday Night Thunder Racing League for putting this show on, the folks at SimWrap Market for supporting the league, and y'all for broadcasting, and the folks at PT Autosport and Amped Sim Racing for their support for me as well. Looking forward to working with them in the coming months. But yeah, I think that's it. All
right, Aaron Smith, your winner tonight at Daytona. Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Chris, man, we mentioned it. I feel like we're beating a dead horse to this point, but this race was intense. We saw a skill level that I wasn't expecting to be a bad race at all, but I was surprised in race 1 just how clean these guys raced for the better part of the race, how intense they were, how close these cars were. We saw several moments where there was contact and there was some squirreliness, but everyone, for the most part, hung on to their cars, and really what we're hearing from drivers was a very difficult drive for them with these tires wearing the way they were, and at Daytona, high speeds, even kind of smaller margin for errors. So that was my takeaway for tonight. We've got some really skilled drivers throughout the field. It's a really good spread, and I'm looking forward to the next 14 races of this season. Again, only 11 races left before we hit the playoffs where the top 10 reset. So that's going to be an exciting season.
Absolutely, and you mentioned, I heard you mention Dan Berg in the chat, and maybe some other drivers as well that were tuning in. If you're looking for a league on Thursday nights, this is a great one to join. They've got some openings here, and I think you would find yourself really enjoying these Thursday night races. And so look them up, check them out, and we'd be happy to get you in contact with them if you need a little bit of help on that end. But yeah, I think that when restrictor plate racing comes down to handling, I think it's a blast, and I loved what I saw tonight. I loved watching these cars slide up. These guys have to chase them up the hill a little bit, and I'm really happy to hear the drivers say that it was actually difficult to drive out there, and that's what we want. We don't want it to be too easy for them.
No, we do not. So let's look at the finishing results for tonight. We've talked to Smith, Clapper, and Cox, your top 3 finishers. Chase Leahy walked away with a 4th place finish. Glenn Graham in that Halloween car stayed in the frame much of the night, really persevered, finishes 5th, gets that top 5. David Reichman in that 6th finishes 6th after a couple of incidents, brings it back home 6th. Bobby Grant, the 98, finishes 7th. Robert Walton, who stayed in the top 5 much of the night, involved in a late race crash, fights back for an 8th place finish. Anthony Burleson, also involved in late race contact, winds up 9th. Shea Willis limps it home to a 10th place finish in that 07. Michael Benton, 10th place in the 29 car. Chris Blassie, I think that was the biggest disappointment of the night for me, was seeing him lead much of the race, but getting caught in an incident and finishing in the 12th position. Joshua Kerner finishes 13th. Gregory Shepsis with a hot rod under him much of the night, working along with Chase Leahy. They were each other's wingman much of the race, ends up finishing 14th. Shane Coker out early, finishes 15th. Brandon Roberts finishes 16th, and then Mike Weber had an issue right before qualifying, doesn't start the race, finishes 17th tonight. So we mentioned it, we're headed to Las Vegas, a much different track, 1.5 miles versus this 2.5 mile Daytona. Banking's a little bit different. It's going to be a completely different race. If you thought tire wear was something to keep an eye on tonight, just wait till next week at Las Vegas. We are going to have a great race. It's going to be same time. We'll go live around 7:45 Eastern Time, bring you that pre-race show. We'll talk about a bigger giveaway that we're doing, and we'll do another 164th giveaway next week. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Click that red button. Click the notification bell as well. It doesn't cost you a dime, but helps us out and these drivers out tremendously. Chris, I think we've said all we can. You ready for Vegas next week?
I'm ready, yeah. I'm excited to see these guys get out on the track on an intermediate track, a downforce track, see how they handle that. I think they're going to put on a great show based upon what we saw here tonight, and I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, hey, for everybody in the stands, for everyone watching from home, it has been a pleasure. So long from Daytona, Thursday Night Thunder Series, Race 1, won by Aaron Smith. Have a good night, everybody. So long. Ellis and Chris, out.